Hi guys, welcome to Chris Cowlin's channel for this live World Cup qualifier between England and Albania, or at least a watch along for the game. If you don't regularly tune into these watch alongs for what is in essence usually a Tottenham channel, I am not Chris Cowlin. My name is Barnaby Slater. You can see my name and my YouTube channel down there in the bottom left, but I do the watch alongs on Chris's channel. We're going to do one for the England game tonight. Thomas Tuchel's first game in charge. The first time a German has been in charge of the national team, something that I think it's fair to say a lot of older generations of England fans thought they'd never see. But I'm relatively excited at the prospect of Tuchel. He's a Champions League winner. He's a multiple trophy winner. And he seems very much to be going down the rabbit hole of England have got close a couple of times in major tournaments. And really what he just needs to do is add the kind of sprinkle of stardust on top to try and get us over the line. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch. Get involved. Send your comments and questions in, and throughout this watch along, I will try my best to answer them whilst not getting too frustrated with what can be quite a frustrating business at times watching England during World Cup qualifiers. But we don't know what to expect, do we? It's a new manager. He certainly seems excited to be taking on the responsibility of being in charge of a nation. And yeah, I mean, obviously Harry Kane, the England captain, has played under him before at Bayern Munich. And, you know, who knows? Anything could happen. They might surprise me today and score 8 goals. But I'll go through the team news in a second. From the double pivot he's chosen, I'm not sure that's going to happen. And also, and I'll go into this a little bit more before the game kicks off, I think we're going to need to respect Albania because they actually did pretty well in the Euros. And for anyone who thinks this is just going to be an absolute kicking and an easy one, I don't think it will. And it rarely is for England. Guys, this will be the itinerary for the night's content. I will be doing the watch along during the game, and then straight afterwards I will do a post-match reaction show. Then there'll be a fan show where I speak to you guys, some of you who maybe called in, and if you want to call in after a future Tottenham or England game, do send an email to tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. That's tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com, and Chris Cowling will sort that out so you can get onto the show and speak to me after a future game. But I will be talking to people in the comments after the game, and then you will be free to have the rest of your Friday night back. So let's go through the team news. Thomas Tuchel's first team selected for England today. Jordan Pickford in goal. Kyle Walker still playing as right back for England, despite the fact he doesn't even play in England anymore, does he? Playing at AC Milan. He plays at right back. Lewis Skelly on debut. The Arsenal left back comes in. Also on debut, Dan Burn, recent Carabao Cup winner for Newcastle. He starts alongside Konsa at centre-back. Konsa, of course, plays for Aston Villa. And then in front of them, Curtis Jones and Declan Rice as the two in the double pivot. And then ahead of them, Phil Foden, Jude Bellingham, Marcus Rashford, and of course, Sir Harry of Kane, the captain, the highest scorer in the history of English national football. On the bench, a strong bench, I think it's fair to say. Reece James, Gay, Henderson and Henderson, Colwill, Eza, Rogers, Gordon, Solanke, Bowen, Livramento, and James Trafford. Guys, let me know how you feel about Thomas Tuchel being England manager in the comments. I have to say, I've only got a couple of comments in so far, but people not happy with the team. Patch Thomas saying, is Thomas Tuchel the new Ange? At the risk of sounding like a broken record, this is the wrong team. I hope I'm wrong. And Meme Hook says, awful, awful, awful. What I would say about this team, and I wonder, Patch, let me know exactly what you hate about it, but I imagine what you're hoping, or what you were hoping for, is a lot of the young players to play, the likes and the exciting kind of forward-thinking youngsters like Eza, Rogers, Gordon. But, of course, Lee Carsley came in, didn't he, as the interim manager, and he tried a game where he tried to fit everybody in. Young, exciting players, all of the attacking players, and we got absolutely ripped a new one. So the way that I look at Thomas Tuchel, and I said it actually as soon as his squad came out, I said it's a more Gareth Southgate squad than Gareth Southgate. And you got to face facts. Tuchel is literally only contracted until the end of the World Cup. And therefore, all he's thinking about is, how can I win this World Cup? And he thinks it's going to be with a mix of experience and young, exciting talent, which is exactly what Southgate always went for. But Tuchel is backing the fact that he thinks when it comes to it, and when it comes to tactical tweaks in big games, when it comes to ramming home the messaging of trying to be on the front foot and not sinking back into our shells when we take the lead or when we're drawing in the big games. Tuchel thinks he will be able to make the difference over Gareth Southgate. And frankly, if he can do that, then we will win something, because Southgate took us to 2 finals and a quarter-final and a semi-final, in fact, in those 4 tournaments. So I can see why Tuchel thinks that. Realistically, he probably doesn't think he's going to be manager much past the World Cup anyway, unless he wins it. And even then, he'd probably go out on a high. So he's just going to try and get them going to the standard that they were at before, and then try and add the sprinkly stardust on top to take us past those difficult matches. Simply Football, thank you for your comments, says Harry Kane is still the best striker in the world, fully behind Tuchel. Okay, good to hear. How do you feel about that squad selection then? Obviously, the kind of controversial one, Jordan Henderson, who I think only has played 2 in his last 9, or started 2 in his last 9 for Ajax. As I mentioned, Kyle Walker, I was surprised to see him coming back. I feel like we've got a lot of good quality in English football at right back, and Walker hadn't played well for Man City. In fact, I don't watch Man City's every game, but certainly a lot of Manchester City fans just thought Walker had been so poor for a long time for Man City. And I think that was one of the reasons Pep Guardiola was relatively happy to see him leave the club and go to Italian football. So surprised to see him playing again at right back. But you do know what you're going to get defensively from Kyle Walker. In the most part, he's going to cover behind his centre halves, and any pace going over the top of them, he will be able to sort it out. Rashford starts again for England. He has had a bit of a new lease of life since joining Aston Villa. He's been impressive there. And one of the things that people were upset about during the Euros with England was, of course, when Harry Kane came deep, and also, let's not forget, Harry Kane, for me, as I was saying, all through the Euros, Harry Kane was clearly injured. He clearly had something wrong with him. It never really came out, but I was saying at the time, would not surprise me a bit if Harry Kane was having pain-killing injections during that World Cup, because he was about 30% off it. One of the things that people were complaining about was that when he came deep, we didn't have any pacey runners getting past him, which is something that England had always benefited from when Kane was playing in that 9 role, but always dropping into the 10. So that's probably why Rashford has started tonight. And yeah, he's done well since he's been at Aston Villa. It'd be interesting to see whether he can keep that standard up over a longer term deal if he does join them from Manchester United in the summer. Lewis Skelly starting at left back. I don't mind that. He looks decent, very young. He's going to have to be careful with his discipline, isn't he? Because he's been sent off a couple of times for Arsenal in his early career for them. And I'm sure it'll be a very exciting night for him and his family. As a Spurs fan, it would be remiss of me not to mention how I'm surprised that Jed Spence isn't in the squad. I really thought he would be picked because he can play right and left back and has been brilliant in the last kind of 3 or 4 months for Spurs. But maybe that's the key to it, the fact that it's only been 3 or 4 months. And Thomas Tuchel's like, let's see if he can keep it going at the top level in the Premier League for a bit longer than that. But you'd have to say with Lewis Skelly, really, he's barely played a lot more, has he? So interesting one, that. As I said, I think Albania will be better than everyone expects, but also, and I hope desperately to be proven wrong, every chance of this being a little bit of a tippy-tappy, tedious side-to-side game as England try and batter down a team who will be well-drilled, well-coached, probably get 11 men behind the ball and try and hit us on the break. So I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but I wouldn't expect any mega changes from what we've seen from England for a fair while now. Phil Foden starts, which is good. Obviously, he's not had the best season for Man City, but he's been brilliant for City for the last few years. He did come out after the Euros and say that he was disappointed that he was pushed out wide because of Jude Bellingham playing in that kind of 10/9.5, 10 role. Foden, I think, by looks of things, will be wide again today, probably wide right. I guess that way at least he gets to cut in onto his left foot. But let's see how he does. He hasn't had the best season for Man City, it's fair to say. He looks to be a bit out of sorts, but maybe a pick in Tuchel's first game will help him today. Jordan Pickford has nailed down again his number 1 status at England. I have to say, as an ex-goalkeeper, I haven't seen any English goalkeeper who could or should come in ahead of Jordan Pickford. I still think Jordan Pickford is an elite distributor of the ball, a good shot stopper, and he's got a kind of leadership mentality. He's one of those kind of old school goalkeepers who is, frankly, a little bit nuts, but I don't mind that. It should be an easy game today, or not an easy game, but it should be like a win today, an expected win. But stranger things have happened. This is a squad that this is a group, that you'd expect England to get through relatively easily. But Serbia are in it as well. They're likely to be the hardest one. And I think the top 2 go through, as far as I'm aware. So England should be okay, but got to get off to a good start, because more than any England manager, I think Tuchel will be under pressure very early if he doesn't get the right results. Let's go into the comments before we get started. Patch again says, we were all praying that we would sign Gordon and dreading that we would sign Rashford, talking about Spurs, being a Spurs fan, I guess. Meme Hook said, Rashford is the Basuma of England's sleepy, dopey party boy. And Patch again says, Jones has a great team around him. Looks like that they're going to do a minute silence. That's an interesting one. I'm not exactly sure why, but maybe I'm about to find out as I turn the commentary on. Like I said, guys, live on X, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Do get in the comments throughout this game, guys. I'm sure I'll be on a tiny bit of a delay, but it shouldn't be too much because I'm just on the ITV app, so it shouldn't be too much. So do get in the comments throughout, and I will try and answer your questions. Meme Hook says, minute silence for English football. Oh, dear. Yes, as ever. The love for international football. Okay, the minute silence for George Eastham, ex-England international. Born in 1936, died recently. I don't know. Deb, good to see you in the comments, says, yes, it was for George Eastham. Always with English international football, especially at home during qualifying campaigns, it's always a bit like the crowd is just full of kids. They have to sell tickets pretty cheaply, and there's never any amazing atmosphere, and it just always feels a little bit meh. But maybe they can surprise us today. Who knows? It is a sellout, apparently. That's right. The commentator's just telling us that Tuchel has basically just said that England were a bit timid and frightened when they got to the latter stages of tournaments, including in the summer. Maybe that'll be the case. Be interesting to see whether Bellingham plays kind of alongside all the way with Harry Kane, as he has done relatively recently in international football, or whether he'll play as a genuine 10, as Albania get on the attack and England win a free kick in their right back position. Tuchel's probably only had about 3 or 4 training sessions with these guys, so we're not going to see a lot, I doubt. Let me know in the comments, guys, how delayed I am from you guys, and if you can, try and pause it. As Tuchel did talk about how he wanted the England team to kind of relate to the Premier League, fast and attacking, and as a result, Jordan Pickford takes his first free kick long and just whacks it up. Good lad. Kane wins a header, and England trying to get in down the inside right channel. Deb says Harry Kane has brought tears. Don't know what that means. I'm actually watching this on my little iPhone 12 above the camera here, just because it's less of a delay on that than it is on my big TV to the right. But it does mean it's harder for me to see who it is. But Lewis Skelly getting his first touch there, plays it inside. Curtis Jones wearing number 17 tonight. What do you think of Curtis Jones? Okay, Pat says I'm only 22 seconds behind. That's not too bad. What do you guys think of Curtis Jones? I mean, obviously, anyone playing for Liverpool at the moment, especially in the Premier League regularly, is clearly good. But don't know. I'm a bit meh about him, really. It's not like the days when I was growing up where you had Paul Gascoigne in central midfield. What a player he was. And Big Dan Burn gets his first touch. Presumably, he's been brought in because of his balance, his left foot. It's got to be a bit harsh on Mark Gay, though, who was one of England's best performers during the Euros, wasn't he? Oh, and Pat says I'm actually spot on now. Not even 22 seconds delayed. Glory. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for Burn to play with a bit of balance to open out his left foot. And obviously, he'll be a threat from set pieces as well. Curtis Jones now to Declan Rice, then plays it out wide. Foden. Back to Rice. Jones. Out again to Kyle Walker now. Into Curtis Jones. Getting towards the Albania box now, but just tapping it around. Some whistling, presumably coming from the Albanian fans. Sure it'll be a good night for those. A Friday night in London for all the Albanians who've travelled over. And also, there's a fair Albanian community in London as well. 2 minutes 40 gone. By now, Tottenham are usually 1-0 behind, so it's a bit calmer. I see Deb has said in the comments, I don't follow Harry Kane anymore. Seeing him on the pitch was heartbreaking for me. Yeah, for any of you watching who are not Spurs fans, this is usually a Spurs channel, and therefore getting to see Harry Kane reminiscent for us. To say that Tottenham miss him would be the understatement of the century. He's a player who almost single-handedly... Oh, well played, Miles Lewis-Skelly in centre midfield there. Looks like he's playing as a little bit of a inverted fullback when we got the ball, actually. That's interesting from Tuchel. But yes, Spurs fans like me, we've had to kind of rework out what a good chance is since Harry Kane has left, because he would make half chances into good chances. And ever since he's left, we've been missing all the half chances, I think it's fair to say. And England, just as I said in the opening, really, 100% possession. Albania just well drilled. And England are going to have to work out a way to break through them as Burn brings the ball forward and then lays it off to Lewis-Skelly. He's a bit wider right this time. Left, sorry. Gives it into Rashford. It comes back to Jones and back into central midfield. Konsa. Foden, wide right now. Goes back to Walker. And this is international football right here. As much as Spurs fans like myself have sometimes thrown our hands up with the basketball element of Tottenham games under Ange Postecoglou. Oh, and an attempted chip over the top towards Bellingham. Oh, and it nearly fell for him. Lovely dink ball over the top. Bellingham made a deep run. And the defender just got enough on it. First little skirmish. Curtis Jones there, just winning the ball back off Albania in central midfield. And the pattern starts again, except now Harry Kane coming deeper into central midfield, trying to make things happen. So he lays it out wide right to Phil Foden. He's wearing the number 7 shirt, formerly of David Beckham and Brian Robson. Dan Burn now. Not afraid to kind of bring it forward, at least kind of 10, 15 yards into the Albania half. Ken Hartley says, are you really a Spurs fan? You don't sound like it. What does that mean? What does a Spurs fan sound like, Ken? At the moment, frustrated, I would say. Wide left now for Rashford. He's got Lewis-Skelly outside him. He plays it inside to Bellingham. Goes for the return, but doesn't get it. Bellingham wearing number 10. Gives it to Rashford and back. They're just kind of... And now Bellingham makes a little burst towards the 18-yard box. Class player, isn't he? Out wide to Foden now. He's got Walker going outside him, but he comes inside. And now goes outside to Curtis Jones. Tempted to cross it, but he didn't. He gives it to Kyle Walker. Walker getting himself in a bit of trouble now, surrounded. And dives on the floor and doesn't win a free kick. And the Albanian manager, Silvinho, ex-Man City, isn't he? Silvinho? No, ex-Arsenal, sorry. Ex-Arsenal, left back, Silvinho. He is very animated on the touchline. 6 minutes gone. I've made a note of one skirmish, but England nearly win it back in the Albanian penalty box. Kane was interested for a second there. Nothing came of it. Dan Burn controls it and goes back to Jordan Pickford. Lee Dixon on CoComs has just said how Silvinho, when they played together at Arsenal, was better going forward than he was at defending. Dan Burn now in central midfield, and he tries the big Alderweireld-esque diag to Foden. Can't bring it down. Bit of a laissez-faire attempt to get that ball down. It goes off for an Albanian throw. 7 minutes gone. And we're back out wide right with Foden. Always looking to come narrow. Goes inside to Jude, who gives it to Concert. And across to Dan Burn. Lewis Skelly is an option for him, but he goes inside to Rashford and Rice. Curtis Jones now tries a ball between the lines. It didn't work out, unfortunately. Not on the right wavelength there. And Albania try a chip forward. They've got one player determined to kind of try and run in behind, but no chance there. And England sorted out. Yeah, as Laren Deb says in the comments, Wembley capacity 90,000. It's full tonight. They never usually make it to 90,000. So they'll say it's a sellout. But I think as a corporates, it'll probably be, I would guess, in the low 80s, but we'll find out maybe a bit later on. Let me know what it is if you guys find out first. See what I'm going to do whilst we're watching. Get on Twitter as well and see what people are saying as we go along. The goalkeeper under pressure for the first time just kicks it up to the halfway line. Lewis Skelly should be able to deal with this pretty easily, and he's fouled from behind, but he did well with his body there. England just play on, although the ref brings it back. And Lee Dixon, of course, waxing lyrical about Lewis Skelly, his Arsenal boy already on the co-coms. Concert. Back to Dan Burn as England cross the halfway line to be met by a sea of black shirts. Lewis Skelly, though, looking to advance, goes inside to Declan Rice. He then goes across to Kyle Walker, who does what he always does, puts his foot on it and then goes to the easy ball. Lewis Skelly. There you go. Finds a little gap, Lewis Skelly. Plays it in between the lines into Kane, who goes back to Lewis Skelly and now opens it out to Bellingham. He's got a bit of space in the inside left position here. Oh, and he beats a man. Brilliant from Bellingham. And a chance here. So put it into Rashford, who decided to cut the ball back there, Rashford, when he could have gone. So the ball came to Rashford in the box in the inside left position, and it was a beautiful ball from Bellingham. And what Rashford, I think, should do is play it first time in between the keeper and the back four. Instead, he tried to cut it back, and it went to an Albanian player. Yeah. Cross comes in, cleared by Albania, but it comes to Rashford now on the left-hand side, fronted by two players, goes for a little 1-2, gets it back, goes inside to Rice. But what Albania are doing quite well is pressing as soon as England get the ball in and around the box. And we've been pushed back now to Walker and Concert, who plays it across to big Dan Burn, trophy winner Dan Burn. Let me know in the comments, guys, how you feel about Newcastle winning their trophy, their first trophy. Just the start of many. I'm sure the Saudis will do whatever it takes, however long it takes, to get their sports washing project winning major trophies over and over again. Rice now. Oh, he just lost the ball there, but it bounced kindly for England to Lewis Skelly. 11.5 minutes gone. 700 of you watching, guys. Make sure if you're not already that you are subscribing to Chris Cowlin's YouTube channel at Chris Cowlin for daily Tottenham and England content. Dan Burn bringing it forward, but loses possession as he tries to find Harry Kane. And Albania with a rare touch of the ball here. Go back to their keeper. Oh, Kane nicks in now. Little chance here. Chance to dink it over the top towards Rashford. And it comes to Rashford in the box. And now Bellingham's in the box. And lays it out. Oh, I thought Rice might have a dig there from outside the box, but England being pushed kind of backwards now. Walker to Jones. Yeah, and Albania are back in shape. But that was England's potentially most promising attack there. Curtis Jones now. England keeping possession just around kind of the 25 yards out. That's where Albania are happy to kind of keep us. As we try and play it to the byline now on the right. Oh, Jones did really well. Cuts it back and well defended in front of Harry Kane. That was Curtis Jones on the inside right there, who did some good stuff amongst so many dark Albanian bodies. Shirts, not bodies, obviously, but you know what I mean. Jones made it to the byline and then probably made the mistake of trying to go to the byline one more time. Tries to cut it back to Kane, and it was just cleared ahead of him by the big centre half. And this is a goal kick for Albania. We are 13 minutes in. No proper good chances at the moment. Lewis Skelly goes back to Dan Burn. We're on the half. Well, we're just in England's half now. So far, as expected, as I talked about in my opening, just a very classic England home World Cup qualifying game against a team where you're expected to beat them and they just played deep. Patch asks in the comments, Barnaby, as a goalkeeper, who did you play for? Well, played semi-pro in what was at the time the Ryman Third Division for Dorking, as England try and play a ball over the top towards Walker, who made a run, and it's cleared. I played Dorking for Dorking in the Ryman Third, and that was whilst I was at university. I was at the University of Greenwich, and we had a good, because it was not an intellectual university whatsoever, we had a very good football team. We're in the Busa top division. And we actually, good crossfield ball there from Rashford to Foden on the right. And he tries to dink a cross in, but it's headed away before it can reach Harry Kane. Conser does well in halfway as we try and keep the ball, but then we give it away. When it comes to Lewis Skelly, and we'll go back. Yes, so we won our kind of regional group at Greenwich in Busa and went to the quarterfinals of the national universities, but we lost 4-0 in the end away at Loughborough. Not an easy place to go. But for Dorking, I played in the FA Cup, got a clean sheet, went to a replay. I think we won. I can't remember what the score was in the replay, but I think we won that in the qualifying rounds. But I was actually at that time deputizing for an older goalkeeper called, I think his name was Julian, if memory serves. And he was an ex-Crystal Palace goalkeeper from years back. And I remember training with him. And even though I think he was like nearly 40 at the time and I was, 19, I just remember thinking, God, this guy was good. This guy is so good. But it was great. Good fun. But my time at Dorking kind of ended when I played in a night game in the winter. I remember super cold. And a ball came through. Bellingham just plays it out wide to Rashford here. Let's see if Rashford can do anything. He's kind of slowed it up. And the ball was nearly nicked off him. And in the end, it's picked up Bellingham. But actually, England are through with Harry Kane. Oh, the keeper dives at his feet. I don't know. It just kind of got to Harry Kane by hook or by crook. Not really sure how. And in the end, defenders nipping at his heels. He could have gone down, Kane, but he didn't. He kind of stayed up. Kane almost through. But keeper dived at his feet in the end. Yeah, the end of my Dorking career came when it was a winter game, night game. The striker for the opposition came through one-on-one. I dived at his feet, and he just got to the ball with his toe as I dived at his feet. And so his follow-through, although I kind of saved it with my body and it went off for a corner, his follow through of his toe clipped my head, and I didn't really know at the time, but I was pretty concussed, it turned out. And then after that, I made just the worst mistake I've ever made in my life, where literally I just came out for a ball that had kind of skidded across the pitch, and it was just for me to kind of catch as the ball comes to my chest like that, and it went through a hole in my arms there because I was obviously concussed. And then I remember at half time, the kind of veteran captain of the team, who was like a journeyman guy who'd been playing lots of non-league football, like abused me and screamed at me. And I was like, hold on. The physio then after the game wouldn't let me drive home because he could tell I was concussed. And I was just like, I'm not sure this is for me to get abused and screamed at when I've been kicked in the head. It was all a bit much. But so that was the end of my Dorking time. But there was a good game for Dorking where I played at home on a Saturday, I remember. 3 o'clock kickoff. And the opposition striker came through one-on-one with me, took it round me, so I took him out, penalty. Referee didn't book me. I saved the penalty. And then about 15 minutes later, opposition striker comes through again, takes it round me, take him out. Referee gives me a straight red. And then the person who went in goal for me didn't save the penalty. So there you go. That is my brief but enjoyable semi-pro football career. And that would have been in like the year 2000, 2001, something like that. So we're talking a long time ago, 24 years ago. That's how old I am. And because I have no kids, you probably are surprised to hear that. The reason I'm able to tell you stories about my life like that is because this game is boring. 18 minutes gone. England 0, Albania 0. Oh, 3-ball chance, England. Goal! And it's Miles Lewis-Skelly. Wow. Who would have thought it? Who would have thought it? I can't see quite who. Well, I'll tell you what. I've got it on replay here. So it comes to Bellingham in midfield. He turns back on himself. Oh, and of course it's Bellingham who played a beautiful ball inside the defence. And Lewis-Skelly scores the first goal under Thomas Tuchel's stewardship. And brilliant, all made by Bellingham. Amazing through ball. And he's onside. And he just slotted it under the keeper. And that could open the game up a bit, hopefully. Because let's face it, as I said, it's been pretty boring so far. Yeah, it is a good story for Miles Lewis-Skelly. Young kid. Good to have another kind of Ashley Cole level fullback on our hands. Oh dear, we've got some Protestant and Catholic comments chat here. That's not something I was expecting. Dear me. And then one from my girlfriend. There we go. I feel sorry for my girlfriend. She's in the next room. Actually, I don't feel sorry for her because usually when it's Spurs, I'm shouting and screaming. I've actually had to apologise to my flatmate before because I shouted and screamed so much during the Europa League last 16-second leg. But this England game is not one to get me that excited. Phil Foden. It's good that we're winning, though. 87% possession for England. Foden now getting down the right. He's on his own against 3. What can he win here? Got to the byline. It's done well here. Oh, cuts it back beautifully. Oh, and Curtis Jones tried a back heel, and it's off for a throw-in. Koy's N17 says, ex-Chelsea, meaning Tuchel, picking Spurs players for England. Your thoughts? I don't think it really doesn't matter who he's managed before, really. I mean, frankly, pretty much every manager Spurs have had. Rashford nearly in down the left there, but commits a foul. Daniel Levy's picked a lot of ex-Chelsea managers for Spurs recently, hasn't he, in the last 20 years or so. He hasn't picked Jed Spence, though, Koy's N17. I said in my opening I was surprised at that. But you got to say, Lewis-Skelly has made a great start. Obviously, got his debut goal. And Dan Burn has also looked okay at centre-back. Carl Walker, not really that fussed about him, but whatever. At least he gets back to come and see his families. "22 minutes gone. England 1, Albania 0. Sweetness and light for Thomas Tuchel. Yes, Bianca, I've just had to delete that chat. Not what I was expecting, but there you go. I guess I should have expected it. Anyway, England back to normal order, knocking it about in midfield. I guess at this stage, Albania and Silvino, their manager, will be like, okay, it's only one goal, so let's keep playing the same way. And then if we can somehow keep it at 1-0 until about 80 minutes, then we could bring some players on and try and attack and make England nervous. But the reason we got that goal is because Jude Bellingham is a genius. I mentioned earlier, like, it's not like the days where we had Paul Gascoigne in central midfield, but Bellingham is actually Gascoigne-esque in terms of his strength, but he's you know, and he's got the ability. Not exactly the same kind of ability, different flavor, but as an all-round footballer, incredible player, great vision, and just the bravery he showed to kind of beat a man in midfield, drop his shoulder, and then play the perfectly weighted through ball. England, you know, for too long had too many players who are too afraid to kind of take those risks. And that was great stuff from Bellingham. Here's Kyle Walker. Plays it out wide to Foden. Comes inside now to Bellingham, the aforementioned. Turns back onto his left. He can go either way as well, Jude Bellingham. Lovely player. Got a brother, hasn't he? Joe Bellingham plays at Sunderland. He's on a lot of teams' lists this summer to potentially get a Premier League move, including Tottenham Hotspur. I can't say I've seen a lot of Job other than he looks exactly like him. There we go. Patch asking me in the comments, do you think we could sign Jude's brother and cross our fingers? Yeah, like I said, I haven't seen enough of Joe, but apparently he's having a great season for Sunderland. Spurs do have a good history of buying and selling with Sunderland, so you'd like to think if he's properly on the list, then we'd have a good chance of getting him, but who knows. As Albania nick the ball off England and then start their bomb forward. Rashford working hard. Rashford, that was good. That was bizarre to see as a Spurs fan, a wide forward working hard to protect their fullback. And Kane now breaks forward with the ball. Oh, beats a man in central midfield. He's looking for some help outside him, but he doesn't have it. And now he's looking to beat a man in central midfield, but in the end he has to go back to Konsa. That was great to see Rashford working back. Oh, we're in. Oh. And it was Rashford who was in behind there, but he couldn't bring it down. Oh, it was a poor touch from Rashford. Ball came over the top and Rashford tries to chest it down and unfortunately just kind of pings off his chest straight to the keeper. Over 1,000 of you watching concurrently now, guys. Thank you so much for the support. Please do press that like button wherever you're watching. The more people, the more likes we get, the more people will get to see it in their suggested videos. As Albania get a rare foray forward on the right-hand side. They play a ball inside. Chance for a cross here. Cross comes across the box. Big Dan Burn gets the first ball on it. And then Pickford beaten in the air on his line. And that was bizarre there. So let's see what happens here. So the ball comes down the inside right channel. He's onside, gets the cross in, and Burn gets a touch on it. And then it actually ends up bouncing on the top of the bar, and Burn panics a bit when it does that. And Pickford could probably have got the next one, but Burn just heads it out whilst holding the post. Bizarre. It's a corner now to Albania. Outswinger. Cleared at the near post from, I think, Big Dan Burn. Oh, no, it was Harry Kane, actually. Albania get another cross in. Burn up for this header here. Cleared. It's going to be a chance here for... Oh, great block from Burn from the volley. Oh, they're in. Oh, and that's more good defending. And that was from Harry Kane, but it was offside, so that's a free kick to to England, not Spurs. Good defending from Burn. He's had an incredible week, hasn't he? According to Simply Football, Lewis Skelly, the youngest player in history to score on his senior England debut. With a brilliant assist from Bellingham, that's right. Lewis Skelly now. We're 28 minutes in. England 1, Albania 0. Got to be honest, guys. I don't know exactly. I'm going to need you to get your questions and comments in during half-time because I do not know what I'm going to fill with. And that's, I guess, international football, really. Not much goes on, does it? It's not like watching Ange Ball. Oh, they're showing Stuart Pearce, who recently fell ill on a flight. He's back working tonight for somebody in broadcasting. Pickford now has the ball in his box. Comes across to Dan Burn. Plays a nice ball in between the lines into Jude, I think it was. He knocks it off to Curtis Jones. Goes wide right to Foden. Foden plays a big long diag. It's a poor ball. Goes off for a goal kick. Of course, England are playing Latvia on Monday in the next one. Okay, I'm just going to go through what Harry Brooks, who's a brilliant... If you don't follow Harry Brooks on Twitter, make sure you do. He's a football coach, and I love his takes. He's at @hbrooks_coach on Twitter. He's been saying this. So far, Rice's inability to receive at angles and move fluidly, according to the play, is causing an issue in build-up. The rest is good. Nice distancing and angles, generally speaking, but there's a bit of a hole in build-up wherever Rice is, and it's affecting things. Then went on to say, Lewis Skelly is superb. Certain players, you see the way they move, think their actions and quality, and you just know it's a real footballer. It's been obvious ever since his youth days it was going to take a lot to take this position from Lewis Skelly in this team now. He then goes on to suggest the team that he thinks are the most important. He says Kane, Bellingham, Saka, Alexander-Arnold, Lewis Skelly, Stones, Pickford. If all fit right now, those are the players who should be in the starting 11, locked in no matter who you're playing. The rest is either up for grabs or interchangeable. As Albania win the ball in midfield, and they're trying to make a break down the right here. Yeah, they get the ball in down the right. Chance for a cross here, and it's blocked by Rice for a throw-in. Harry Brooks goes on to say it's not just Rice's inability to receive on the turn. He lacks understanding of angles, distancing, and how to show for the ball. You'll see him positioned in build-up quite often, and he's just slightly positioned wrong to receive, even just by a yard, and it makes him unavailable to receive. Brooks goes on to say, right now I'll be looking for Pickford, Trent, Stones, Colwill, Lewis Skelly, Wharton, Mainu, or Jones or Rice, Bellingham, Saka, Gordon or Palmer, and Kane. Some games you can play a trio of Wharton, Bellingham, and Palmer as long as Trent and or Miles Lewis Skelly tuck in central if Wharton is isolated. A cross comes in from Albania, cleared at the front stick. So some good takes there from Harry Brooks. Oh, Albania nearly got in behind on the right-hand side, but offside. Bellingham wins a free kick in midfield. Oh, and the Albanian number 6 gets a yellow card. Not sure what that's for. And he's pointing at his armband saying, I'm only talking to you because I'm captain, but the ref's gone all big bollocks, giving him a booking. Totally unnecessary. Lewis Skelly has played well, to be fair. Dan Burn. 33 minutes gone. Still 1-0. And you can hear the Mexican waves, I think, going around the stadium. That's how boring international football can be. Burn, nice ball in between the lines. Been impressed with Burn so far. And now Rashford is one-on-one on the left. He's driving. Plays a ball into Bellingham. Great chance. Well saved. Oh, and then Kane on the half volley. Blocked. That was beautiful, to be fair, from Rashford and Bellingham. And in the end, Bellingham just tried to toe poke it past the keeper and he saves it. So Rashford was driving in off the left and then just plays a lovely little through ball. And Bellingham's in the inside left position. Keeper comes out, tries to toe poke it past him, but he gets his body in the way. England work it out to Foden. Comes back inside. Dan Burn now. Gives it to Lewis Skelly. Coming inside, looking for angles. Drops it off to Concert. Goes in between the lines. And that was Bellingham, but he wasn't able to keep it. But then Kane tackles him on the right-hand side and plays it inside. Foden out, driving at the box. Loses it, but Bellingham picks it up from him, tries the through ball, defended. Now England lose it. And here come Albania. And you can hear the Albanian fans get excited. They've got a 2-on-1 down the right-hand side now, but Lewis Skelly drops off. And the Albanians try a ball through and Pickford picks it up. Koi's N17 says, zzz, as in sleepy. Anthony says, hello all, late and joining tonight. Come on, England. Sam Wise says, England are so exciting. And I think that might be sarcasm. England try and play a through ball in to Rashford, but it's defended. And Albania now have the ball in central midfield. Anthony is predicting England 4, Albania 0. Who knows? And Deb says, Lauren Deb says, Harry needs to come back to Spurs. I can't see a single reason why he'd do that right now, unfortunately. But yeah, I'd welcome him back. I don't think we would ever play 2 up front, but what a 2 up front that would be, Solanke and Kane. Assuming that Spurs don't win the Europa League and do change manager, you'd have to think and hope that the next manager would work with a style that makes more chances for the centre forward, because we don't make too many for Solanke, although he did miss a couple at the weekend. Dan Burn. Another good ball between the lines from Burn. Rashford nearly gets pickpocketed, but doesn't. England have it again with Concert. Halfway line into Declan Rice. Plays it out wide right. Played to Curtis Jones down the right. Gives it inside to Foden. He's got a bit of space. But Albania in good shape. And England just popping it about now. Dan Burn, 10 yards inside his own half. Out wide to Rashford. He's one-on-one. Comes inside. Oh, tries a little ball down the line to Bellingham, but doesn't work out. And now Albania come down the right-hand side with the 9. It's coming narrow, but England work back. Oh, nearly get the ball off them in midfield, but Albania now being pushed backwards. They're in the right-back position now. Good football from Albania. Get themselves to the halfway line, but England get it off for a throw-in. 38 minutes gone. England 1, Albania 0. England win the ball back and have it in central midfield. Curtis Jones. Jones again to the midfield, faced by 3 central midfielders of Albania. Do get any questions you have into the comments, guys, for half time. It's going to be a long 15 minutes, I think, as Kyle Walker is wide right. I wonder if Trent Alexander-Arnold will come in straight away to Tuchel's team when he's fit. That'll be an interesting one to see. Dan Burn in central midfield. Plays it in between the lines to Kane. Goes back to Burn. Rice tries a ball over the top to Walker. He's at the byline. Gets a cross in. Chance! Second ball. Oh, I'll tell you what. First one is saved brilliantly. I think it was Bellingham with the deep run. And then, from the save, Kane has a really great chance. It's well played by Walker. Bellingham gets a good save. And then Kane looks like he's definitely going to just bury it. So here it is, chipped over the top to Walker, who does well to get to the byline, gets a cross in. Great deep run from Bellingham. Good save. And then it falls to Harry Kane 8 yards out. And his shot is tipped, not kind of blocked over the bar, deflected over the bar by an Albanian defender. Corner to England. Kane thought for sure he was going to score then. To be fair, really good defending. Going to be an in-swinging corner. Here it comes from Rice. Dan Burn at the back stick. That's another corner. Tell you what, when you bring in players like Trent, Saka back into this team, it's got a lot of quality, England, that's for sure. With that first corner, they went for Dan Burn coming in, the big man at the back stick. Oldest England debutant, Dan Burn, since Kevin Davis. Outswinger this time. Oh, Dan Burn got a free header and it's tipped over. Ah, brilliant. That would be such a story, wouldn't it? It's another corner for England. He really, I'll tell you what, I said earlier, didn't I? That hits the bar, actually, I think. That header, yeah. He gets his full neck muscles on it. Yeah, it's saved and hits the crossbar. He is a threat from set pieces, that's for sure. So another in-swinger from this side now from Rice. It goes all the way deep again to big Danny Burn. He wins the first one, but it's cleared. Oh, and then England are in trouble here on the break, you know. So Albania try and get down the left. And as I said in my opening, and maybe this is why Walker plays, because Walker's pace just got us out of trouble there as Albania made a break for it. Andrew Burnett in the comments says Jed Spence is better than Kyle Walker. Well, different players, but Spence has been great this season. But Walker is a bit like a kind of cheat code in terms of defensively if the opposition team has a transition, and we saw that just then. 42 minutes gone, 3 minutes till half time. There has been more stuff happening, certainly in the last 15, 20 minutes than the first 15, 20 minutes. And I think Tuchel will be pretty pleased as Albania break through midfield now. And Albania have it on the right-hand side. Albania just having their best spell of possession here for a while in midfield. England are in a decent shape, but Albania try ball between the lines. That's good stuff. They're in the 10 position now, actually. This is decent. And they have a big shot. And they're calling for it to be a free kick, but it's not. The ref gives a goal kick just because there was a big slide-in tackle. And then the ref, who doesn't like being talked to, and the 9 is trying to talk his way into the book here. He has a big shot, and it was a big slide-in tackle from Curtis Jones, and he was a bit late. I'm surprised it's not been given as a free kick. Yeah, it should be a free kick for sure, to be honest. And Lauren Deb says it's a Scottish ref. Is that right? Andrew Bennett says Sporker was my first Spurs shirt, but it's time. Says he's getting older. He's definitely getting older. Loves to have multiple families, doesn't he? Loves to spread his love around, Kyle Walker. We're into the last minute of the first half now. Lee Dixon on CoCom saying it's been a decent half. I'd say the second half of the first half has been all right. And that is half time. I think that says a lot about the half, to be honest, in that he didn't find any added time whatsoever. England 1, Albania 0. World Cup qualifier. Good goal scored by the debutant, Miles Lewis-Skelly of South Woolwich, Arsenal. What can I say? Just a classic World Cup qualifying game at home, really, where the opposition are well-drilled, well-coached, make it difficult, but just one little bit of class from Jude Bellingham breaks the deadlock as he played just the perfect through ball in behind their back four. And Lewis-Skelly, who made a good run, stays on side and just gets a little toe under the keeper. Once again, guys, over 1,200 of you watching concurrently at the moment. Really appreciate it. Please do press the like button wherever you are watching. Make sure you're subscribed to Chris's channel at Chris Cowlin on YouTube. Also, if you want to hear daily content from me, I specialize in Tottenham content during the season and then Premier League transfer content during the transfer windows. My channel is youtube.com/@Barnaby Slater _. I'm also a comedian and I put up YouTube shorts of stand-up comedy clips as well. So if you like the sound of that, come and give me a subscribe. Simply Football says, would like to see Solanke and Bowen get chances tonight. Yeah, what I would say is about the players that England have on the bench. If we score another goal or Albania kind of keep it to the last 10, 15 minutes and try and put a push on for England, try and attack us, then you'd think we've got enough pacey finishers on the bench who could probably notch a few goals in the last 10 or 15 minutes or so. So in terms of what happened in that half, the 4th minute was England's first real skirmish. Came from a deep run from Bellingham. A dink over the top of the back four nearly found him, but he wasn't able to bring it down as the Albanian defender did just enough. Bellingham, clearly our Rolls Royce. And it's no surprise, he plays for Real Madrid. He's an absolute baller, Champions League winner. But he just wants to be on the ball all the time. He has a free role for England, and that's the right decision. Just can play wherever he wants, get on the ball, interchange with Harry Kane. Sometimes he's in the 9, sometimes he's in the 10, sometimes he pops up around Marcus Rashford on the left-hand side. Wants to play little 1-2s, wants to keep it 1 and 2 touch, or where that's not possible, just always waiting to try and find a gap. And very impressive from Bellingham so far. 7th minute, made a note, England all the possession so far. Albania 11 behind the ball and well drilled. 10th minute, Bellingham beat a man, got into the box, found Rashford in the inside left position. And Rashford has looked bright without really making the right decisions. And Rashford, when he was inside the box and in the inside left position, I think should have really hit it early into the pomo in between the keeper and the back four, but instead he cut it back and there was nobody on the edge of the box. So Albania were able to clear. 12th minute, another promising attack. England won it back. Kane was deep and dropped a ball over the top to Rashford, but it just ran too far for him. Just another example there of Kane dropping into that 10 role and even deeper sometimes to get England going. Kane has impressed me more in this game than he did in any of the games during the Euros, where, like I said at the beginning, I felt he was definitely injured during those European Championships. And I think maybe Southgate's biggest mistake as England manager was continually playing Kane when he clearly was, for me, about 20, 25%, 30% off it. And that was a shame. 16th minute, Kane almost found his way through on goal. The ball just kind of deflected off a few times and defenders nibbling at his toes. And as a result, the keeper dived at his feet and he wasn't able to get a shot off. Then in the 19th minute was the goal, all made by Jude Bellingham. Amazing through ball as he just kind of turned a couple of times in central midfield and just waited for the gap to come up in between the centre-back and the right-back. Plays that perfect through ball. And Lewis Skelly, all he had to do was kind of show his strength and slot it under the on-rushing keeper. 25th minute, Marcus Rashford nearly in behind again from a ball over the top, but a poor touch on his chest. Kind of bounced off his chest, went straight through to the keeper. Then in the 26th minute, Albania hit the top of the bar. Probably sounds a bit more exciting than it was, really. They got a cross in. Dan Burn kind of stretching, goes to clear it. It goes up high in the air. And Jordan Pickford kind of goes to try and get some hands on it. And one of the Albanian players is with Pickford. And I think as a result, he's not able to get as high as he wanted. And it actually hit almost like the top of the stanchion, where the bar and the post meet, and then goes up in the air again. And Dan Burn, holding on to the post, just wanted to be sure, so heads it out. I've been very impressed with Dan Burn so far, I have to say. 33rd minute, beautiful as Rashford drives at the right back, played a ball inside behind the back four, and Bellingham, just as the keeper rushes at feet, he tried to toe poke it past him, and the keeper got his body behind it. As I said, in the 34th minute, I made a note. Been impressed by Burn so far, mainly his passing in between the lines. He's also kept a very high line when England have had the ball, which has enabled us to almost Mickey van der Ven-like keep Albania under pressure. Burn kind of starting his position about 10 yards inside Albania's half. And that means we're able to kind of constantly keep pressure on them and keep recycling the ball easily. 39th minute, Walker got to the byline. Did well, actually, Kyle Walker, who I was surprised got on the nod as a starting fullback in this team. Got to the byline, cut it back to Bellingham, whose header, he made a good run from deep. Bellingham got a header from about 6 yards, heads it down. The keeper actually saved it really well. And it comes out to Harry Kane about 7-8 yards out. And Kane was basically already celebrating, but somehow he gets a good connection on it. But somehow the Albanian defender manages to get a bit of his body on it. And it goes over the bar. And then from the resulting corner, Dan Burn had a free header, which he gets real neck muscles behind. And the keeper makes a good save, gets a tip onto the bar. And Burn is what I would describe as an old school, old-fashioned threat from set pieces for England. And his left foot does give us balance as well. I think a lot of people will have been surprised, myself included, that he was in the squad and also got a starting berth. But that balance on the left-hand side of the two centre-backs is important. And yeah, as a threat from set pieces, it is a bit of a cheat code, kind of similar in the way that Peter Crouch was back in the day when he played for England. Crouchy scored so many goals for England. And a lot of it was kind of a mix of cheat code because he's so tall, but also the fear of God that he put in defenders. And Dan Burn could well notch a few for England if he gets more chances. So that has been the first half. Patch Thomas asks me in the comments, question, Are you not more analytical, non-biased, open and honest commentator of a football match than pretty much anyone else? Grammatically, Patch, you've confused me there. Are you saying, because it says it's a question, are you not more analytical? Not can you rewrite it and see what makes sense? Sorry, Patch, I don't understand it. Are you saying that I am analytical and non-biased, open and honest, or that I'm not? Either way, it's fine, but just let me know. Simply Football says, Barnaby, will England win the World Cup under Tuchel? Bit early to say. It's hard to see with the likes of Nico Williams and Yamin Lamal how anyone's going to beat Spain. France will always be there or thereabouts. I think, am I right with Deschamps, the manager of France? The World Cup is going to be his last one. And then also it's going to be in America and Mexico and I think Canada. So there'll be heat issues as well, which is always something that the press love to pick up on when England have to play a summer tournament in a hot country. So that might count against us. But we're definitely one of the top teams. You know, you don't get to the finals of European tournaments And what the FA have done is they've kind of done a Daniel Levy when he went to get Jose and when he went to get Conte, bring in the man who they think can take us over the line and change things in during games, in big games. And Tuchel will not, to be fair to Tuchel, and he hasn't had to do any of this really in this game, of course, but he will not just stand there on the touchline and let things slide. He will shout and he will scream and he will make changes and he will get into the players. And he's talked this week, hasn't he, about how he just thinks that the difference with England, the only thing they need is kind of more talking on the pitch, more leadership, and being on the front foot. Actually, they're showing some clips of him now shouting during the game and making some notes on his little notepad. It'll be interesting. I mean, what I'd say is, I'm not going to say they will win the World Cup, but can they win the World Cup? Yeah, of course they can. I'd say geography counts against them. But they can be there and thereabouts. Be interesting to see how we do if we come up against a top-level nation. England under Southgate didn't beat a lot of top-level nations in 90 minutes. I can think really only... in the major tournaments, I can think obviously the Germany game in what I think was the quarterfinal of or was it the last 16 of the Euros at Wembley? So it'll be interesting to see. Simply Football being kind with some stats here. England 79% possession, 6 shots, 3 on target. Albania 21% possession, 2 shots, 0 on targets. And then asked what Albania players have impressed you this evening. The number 9 looks busy. But other than that, I haven't been. I'm not going to say, because I haven't been paying much attention to them, to be honest. Patch asks, "Would I bring on Dom?" By the way, he said I meant to compliment me with his question, so I'm going to say that this is what you were saying, Patch. You are more analytical, non-biased, open, and honest commentator of a football match than pretty much anyone else. I'll take that, Patch. Thank you very much. Can I be accused of being non-biased when I commentate on Spurs games, though? I mean, I'm pretty biased when it comes to watching Spurs, although watching Spurs at the moment, it's hard to be biased because it's so frustrating at times. But I'm just hoping that Ange is doing what I've been asking him to do, which is kind of wrap Mickey van der Ven and to some extent Romero in cotton wool and just make sure that they are fit for those Europa League games. Because, if they're fit, if the spine of the team at Tottenham is fit during that Europa League run, then we will be hard to beat. By which I mean Vicario, Van der Ven, Romero, Kulusevski. I'd add Bergvall in there now. Solanke. They're the key players that we need fit. In terms of would I bring on Dom Solanke? No, not at the moment. I wouldn't. I don't think I would. Robert Kent says, if Ange gets another season and is sacked at the end of next season, if Tuchel was a possibility after the World Cup, would you prefer him to Poch? Good question. No, I'm going to say no. I think I've had my fill of ex-Chelsea managers at Spurs. I'm not saying Tuchel isn't a good manager. He is. I don't think he would get on well with Daniel Levy. He's fallen out with most of the kind of boardrooms of clubs that he's managed. He's very, very driven and single-minded in what he wants. And I don't think him and Levy would get on well. So I don't think it would last that long. And therefore, as Pochettino, if Pochettino was an option, I wouldn't mind him coming back. But I don't think I was listening to View from the Lane podcast today. Make sure you listen to that if you don't. And they were saying on there, it's unlikely, I think, that the timing will work for Pochettino, because Pochettino will definitely take America into that World Cup in a year and a half or a year and a bit's time. And then assuming that Spurs, you've got to assume Spurs are not going to win the Europa League and that Ange will probably lose his job this summer. They will then install a new manager who would probably get over a year, and then therefore Poch wouldn't have a chance at Spurs. And then also they said on the View from Lane, this is a really good point, the World Cup goes deep into July. And so if Pochettino became manager, he'd need a break after the World Cup. He'd miss so much pre-season, and that wouldn't be a good start. So seems unlikely. Tottenham Fan TV asks, how do you know Chris? Good question. So I started and used to run a YouTube channel called Spurred On, and that started in 2015. And as part of that channel, I used to do fan cams outside the games, home and away at Spurs, where I'd interview Spurs fans after the game. And Chris Cowlin was one of the first fans to be interviewed by me, and he used to come and be a regular interviewee. All as usual, of course. This was before Chris had his channel. He would follow Spurs home and away, a proper fan, and I would interview him everywhere. And then Chris started his own channel after that, and here or there we've kept in touch. I only started my YouTube channel properly just over a year ago after Spurred On finished, it finished in about 2017. It only really lasted a couple of years, unfortunately, because it was funded by a big media company and they didn't feel like they were making enough money from their football fan channels. Ironically, I think if they'd stuck with it, they would be making a lot of money right now, and they were just a little too short-sighted. But then, yeah, and then I saw Chris at some Spurs games, and eventually we decided to do some watch-alongs together. But Chris, as I always describe him, the Don of Tottenham Hotspur content, just brings you so much content. And yeah, what a guy, what a Spurs fan. Patch Thomas says, what about Lucas Bergvall's younger brother? Maybe with Jude's younger brother. I don't know anything about Lucas Bergvall's younger brother. Is that a true thing? Does he exist? Where's he playing? And Patch also says, Spurs are going to win. I'll see you in Bilbao. Well, I'll tell you this. Rhys James, the comedian, used to present on Spurred On for me. And he posted a social media clip of his golf swing this week. And it was very impressive. So I sent him a WhatsApp. And I was like, oh, great, golf swing. We started talking a bit. And I said, oh, we should have a game soon. How about somewhere near Bilbao in May? And he just said, interesting. So, yes. The only stipulation I said to Chris Cowlin when we had the discussion about me doing some watch-alongs was, if we get to the final of the Europa League, I won't be able to do a watch-along because I hope to be in Bilbao. It's a long way away. We would have to beat Eintracht Frankfurt over 2 legs. They won the Europa League a year or two ago. And then we'd likely have to beat Lazio in the semi-final because they've got Bodo Glimt, I think, in their quarter-final. Although Lazio did get absolutely hammered 4-5-0 the other night, and the manager had to apologise to the fans. So, they're not unbeatable, clearly. And they've got some, they've got Guendouzi, I think it is, in their midfield. Certainly, they've got some kind of, some ex-Premier League players in there. Who, of course, would, if they play against Spurs, would want to play their best ever games. But anyway, let's see what happens. Who knows? I'm just going on Twitter now. See if I can find any exciting England takes. England just doing a little warm-up as they come back out onto the pitch. Just trending Skelly and Rashford and Declan Rice. So they're probably the ones getting abuse. Not Skelly, but Rashford and Rice probably, I would have thought. Managed to see my way through that half-time, though, despite the fact that barely anything had happened in the game. Interesting. Just seeing some abuse for Tuchel already. Goes without saying. Nothing worth reading, really. Okay, the game is just about to kick off. Tottenham Fan TV says, you and Chris won't be in Bilbao, lol. Fair enough. Patch asks, what do you think about our injury crisis? Do you think it was self-inflicted? I mean, I've been pretty consistent with this. I think Ange has to take some blame for the injuries because we are an outlier when it comes to the amount of sprints we have in games. So you've got to assume that we're also sprinting a lot in training, and we've had the most injuries, muscle injuries certainly as well. They've got to take some blame, but of course it won't all be his fault either. Okay, the second half has kicked off, and actually I'm going to be on a bit more of a delay than I was the first half, guys, but I'm going to go to my bigger TV because it's easier to spot who people are. So I'll be a little bit more delayed. Apologies for that, but let's face it, we're not missing a great deal. So Laren Deb getting in on Patch saying, what nonsense are you spouting? Paul Jones says, which university did you go to, and was football journalism always a career you wanted to follow? Good question. Thank you. I went to Greenwich University. Barely even a university, I'd say. Although, actually, some really important people in the world of football have come from Greenwich University. And we did have, I was saying earlier, we did have a really good first football team, mainly because we weren't a particularly intellectual university. To get into Greenwich University, you basically only had to be able to sign your name on the clearing forms. I didn't know back then what I wanted to do, or whether I wouldn't call myself a football journalist. I have done some journalism. I have written some football articles and references and stuff. I mean, I guess broadcasting is journalism. So, and that's kind of what I do. But no, I didn't know back then what I wanted to do. But if someone had told me, "Oh, you're good at talking about football," or then I probably would have started it a lot earlier than I did. I was, what was I, 34 when I got my first job kind of running a football YouTube channel. Before that, I always worked in TV and comedy, and TV comedy and radio comedy. But I'm really pleased that I found kind of football content, or it found me. Anyway, Albania have won a free kick. So I'm on 46 minutes 55 now. So you'll see how much delayed I am. But Albania have won a free kick wide right from a high foot, I think, from Dan Burn. So this will be an opportunity for them to get players forward for a rare time. Hope that answers your question, though, Paul. Patch answers my question about who is Lucas Bergvall's younger brother. He's a Swedish professional footballer born 2004. Theo Andreas Bergvall plays as a right back for a Swedish club on loan from Djurgården. I'm not going to say the name of that Swedish club because it looks impossible to say. All right, thanks for your info, Patch. I appreciate that. Still waiting for this free kick to be taken. It's going to be an outswinger. Here it comes. Comes deep, all the way over. Big Dan Burn gets a flick on. They're on the left-hand side now, running at Declan Rice. He's backpedaling. Tried the flick flat, got a cross in. Good play from Albania, but cleared again by Burn. Volley on the edge of the box, and Burn again. The ball is being attracted to Dan Burn in this game so far. Oh, and then Bellingham, absolutely beautiful, but a bit too heavy with his pass, was he? No. Foden, just didn't quite have the pace to get away, but England are running forward now. Walker takes a lot of defenders with him, so Foden comes narrow. Lays it, terrible ball. And now Albania. Oh, they've slipped over. And therefore England win it back. And now Foden on the right. Has to turn away. And an Albanian player is down with a hand injury. Paul Jones in the comments says, with Dibbling possibly coming to Spurs, we could have Bergvall, Vuskovic, Moore, and Gray in the first team squad next season. All 5 have been ranked today in the next gen list. Spurs had 5 in that list as well, with Yang Min Hyuk. Spurs strategy of buying young and giving them chances is good, but also we're still going to be 16th in the league after this weekend, so I think a little bit of mix and match with this stuff would be better, and less injuries for sure. One thing I would say about this England team as I watch it, compared to one of the things that I complain about with Spurs, is there's a lot more physicality in this England team, and in the Premier League, not many teams do well in the Premier League unless they've got a physical edge as well, and Spurs have just a few too many kind of soft boys. So that's something that I think we should think about when recruiting. Lewis Skelly does well there, wins a foul in central midfield as he inverts. 50 minutes gone, not a lot happening in the second half, not surprisingly. Pat says Yang Min Hyuk has looked okay at QPR. Yeah, I don't know how many games he's getting at the moment. But yeah, he's there've been some good compilation videos from some of his appearances. England have a free kick then. 82,000 is the crowd at Wembley. Phil Foden looks like he's going to put this free kick. There's about 20 yards into the Albanian half. He's going to try and dink this up towards the back post where Dan Burn is. There it goes. Oh, that was Konsa, was it? Nearly got on the end of it. And Albania now trying to play out. A lot of Albanian fans in this ground. You can hear them. England looked like they were going to get a free. Oh, the little dink in behind there, but Konsa did well. And then Declan Rice gets a good challenge in as well. Bellingham, central midfield. Oh, he's looking for the run of Rashford down the left, who was pulled back. Doesn't win a free kick. One thing I would just say, I mentioned it earlier, this is what Albania will be looking to just keep it at 1-0, try and get it to kind of 75, 80 minutes, and then make some changes to try and attack. Or Curtis Jones there nearly won the ball off Albania. That was unlucky. Robert Kent says, what has been your favourite Spurs era as a fan outside of Pete Poch? Oof, blimey. Please, can I say Pete Poch? That was just by far and away. You know, there were times where I was just like, oh my God, we're actually going to do this. We're actually going to win the league. Like, it was just unbelievable. And even though we didn't do that, I think people were far too quick to complain because we didn't win anything. Like, Spurs were just so good then. I'm not really sure what other times there were that I've really genuinely enjoyed. Obviously, 1991, I was 10. So we won the cup final then. I remember where I was. We beat Arsenal in the semi-final at Wembley. Yeah, and around that time, you know, when I was, you know, in my real formative years, Gaza was my idol. Lineker was playing for us. Bellingham plays it through. Foden tried to flick it onto Kane. Nothing happens. And Albania just bring it out, play it long. But Walker's able to deal with it. Deb says her favourite Spurs era was with Dele Alli. Yeah, I'd call that peak Poch. I think Ali was a huge part of that. As much for his kind of spontaneous skill and ability on the pitch, but also just his personality around the club and freedom. No fear of failure with Dele back then. And we need a few more personalities like that. Robert says, I enjoyed the early Yol period. Yeah, agreed. It felt like a real shift out of the mediocre period. Yeah, Yol was great. I remember actually, it was when Yol was the manager, early Yol period, and we had that tight Kappa kit with the blue sleeves. So it was just before that Arsenal, the first season where we put pressure on Arsenal to get in the top four. We didn't quite get there, but I remember in pre-season we played a game. I think we were on a tour somewhere. We had a player called Mornir El Haldoui, I think his name, or El Hamdoui, sorry. And I remember he played in this pre-season friendly, and he's just rolling his foot over the ball, and he was brilliant. He was given freedom, and he never made it in the first team long term. But that was the first time I thought, oh, Spurs look a bit different here. They look good, and yeah, Yol was great. They just cut to Teddy Sheringham and Dion Dublin in the crowd there. But yeah, Martin Yol was great. Harshly treated by Daniel Levy. Sacked at half-time during a UEFA Cup game. But then Ramos came in, won the Carabao Cup, didn't he? Or what was the Carling Cup? And actually, if you didn't see it or hear about it, who was it who did an interview? It was Aaron Lennon. Did an interview and said he thought Juande Ramos was brilliant tactically. And that actually he basically lost the players because of how insistent he was that they eat well, which I guess just showed how unwilling Spurs were to really put in the required effort, the players anyway, to take this club to the next level. That little bot says, who's your favourite Spurs player not injured right now? I'm going to say My favourite Spurs player at the moment is Lucas Bergvall. I love him. I think he's going to be an absolute star. Rashford tries to break in down the left, loses it, then presses, tries to win it back, then fouls. And eventually the ref does give the foul. It was a foul. Patch says, obviously Hoddle and the Ardiles times, but my first love was John Duncan. Yeah. John Duncan is a bit old even for me. Even for me. Let's see what people are saying on X, if anything. Friday night for an England game is a bit weird, isn't it? Why are they playing on England on a Friday night? It's bizarre. People are out trying to have a break from the terrible week. Oh, Wilson Odobert got an assist for France under 21s against England tonight. Let's have a look. It's just running down the right-hand side, cuts inside, gets to the byline. Beautiful cross. Ange ball. Well done, Wilson Odobert. And that's good to see, actually. Really good to see. And I've been saying for a while that he looks better on the right for me, Odobert, the Spurs. Simply Football says, if you could sign an Arsenal player, Chelsea player, and West Ham player, who? One from each team. Saliba, I'm afraid. I think he's a cut above. I think he's absolutely class. Chelsea. Cole Palmer, obviously. West Ham. Bowen. Sorry to be obvious, but they're their best players. Robert Kent says, that FA Cup tie versus Chelsea where we were 2-0 up through Ghali and Berbatov but ended up 2-2. I remember thinking this is different. We can actually frighten the big boys. I don't really remember that one. I remember Hossam Ghali and obviously Berbatov. Oh, such a player. 1,500 of you, over 1,500 of you watching concurrently at the moment, guys. Thank you so much for your support. Make sure you press that like button if you haven't already. The more likes we get, the more people will see this watch along in their suggested videos. So please do press that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to Chris Cowlin's channel, at Chris Cowlin. He brings you so much football content. England have done well to play it, and we're in down the left now with Rashford. He's running into the box. He's going to try and bring it on his right foot. It was too obvious and well defended. But Bellingham's helped him out. Then he dinks it to Kane. Heads it wide. And Kane made a brilliant cross run. And he should score there, Harry. Yeah, the fullback just put him under pressure enough. One of the first times England managed to get in behind. Certainly in this half. Big Dan Burn wins a header. I'll tell you this, Dan Burn's going to be man of the match at the moment, I think. Although I guess I'll probably give it to the goal scorer. Kane does well to win the ball back in midfield. But then Curtis Jones loses it, and Albania have some players forward here. But Lewis Skelly, brilliant, and plays a good pass. Bellingham nearly gets in Rashford's way. Plays inside to Kane outside the box. Plays it in. Beautiful football from England. And actually, Curtis Jones was in on the right and tries to pass it. Very unselfish. But it was blocked by Albania. That was a good move. Good stuff there from England. Game just opening up a little bit now. It's hit the 60-minute mark, and Harry Kane dropping deep. A lovely ball into Curtis Jones in the 9 position. Oh, a little flick-flack from Jones. Jones into Bellingham. Into Rice. Walker out wide to Foden. Good ball into Bellingham in the 10 role. Into Concert. England moving about. Kane coming deep. Tries a dink over the... What a ball! What a ball. Oh my God. Kane, fantastic cross. So an amazing, Kane came deep and then plays a beautiful cross ball to Curtis Jones at the back stick. He tries to cross it then first time to Foden. It's just a bit behind him. Good stuff. This is a more enjoyable game as it opens up here. Oh, Broja coming on for Albania. Curtis Jones working very hard. I wonder if he wonders himself whether he might get taken off at some point. Oh, dangerous header back towards Konsa though. Does really well. Brilliant. Lays it into Jones, who goes first time into Bellingham. He's got space now. Lays it out to Rashford, who's running at the fullback. It's going to go outside him, surely. Does. But the defender knew it. Clears it for a throw-in. Tuchel looking interested on the bench. Wonder if he's thinking about making some changes. It's a throw-in for England. And Albania, I'm going to bring on Broja now. See, played for a lot of English clubs now, hasn't he? And the 10, the Barami. Barami comes off. Lauren Deb says Albania have a lot of fans there. Yeah, they do. Big Albanian community in London, isn't there? And they've obviously come from far afield as well. Lots of international teams love a big night out against England. Anyway, throws taken. Kane trying to get more involved in the game here. Drops it off to Burn. Comes across to Konsa. It goes into Curtis Jones, back to Burn. Lewis Skelly is high and wide for him, but Burn comes back narrow. Into Bellingham. No, sorry, that was Rashford. Back now to Curtis Jones. He turns. Albania looking to press England back to the keeper there. So Pickford gets his foot on the ball. Just give it to Konsa, Pickford. Give it to Konsa. He's trying to get too involved here, Pickford, I think. Yeah, just gives it to Dan Burn. Albania pressing a bit higher here. Comes back to Pickford. Rolls it to Konsa now, who goes back to Pickford and across to Declan Rice. To Dan Burn. This is where the balance of Burn's left foot really helps because he's able to play it early out to Lewis Skelly and get us out. Kane plays a good ball out wide to Phil Foden. I'm getting some abuse in the chat. PC gone mad says Barnaby is a child, always throwing his toys out of the pram. Thanks for your comment, mate. No problem. Dan Burn to Curtis Jones. Declan Rice. Dan Burn getting ever further forward, but a poor ball and a transition, but it's won back quickly. And Lewis Skelly is strong. Does really well. And he's driving now, Lewis Skelly. Plays a good ball as well. England in the box here with Bellingham. Oh, and it nearly fell to Lewis Skelly for a shot, but it didn't quite. And here come the elbows. Down the right now, but Curtis Jones working hard. Oh, good little back heel, bit of skill. And then big Dan Burn gets involved. And that is an Albanian throw. Oh, and then they're in behind. Broja is in behind Dan Burn. And it's well defended in the end by Konsa, who allows Pickford to pick it up. I've only written 3 things down here in this entire second half. Lewis Skelly now. Wide right to Rashford. Comes inside to Dan Burn. Dan Burn just putting foot on the ball, trying to get Albania to press him, really, to make some space. Yeah, Simply Football says your match review is going to be a short one. Yeah, it really is. It really is. Big Danny Burn now. Halfway line. Pops it off to Curtis Jones. Looks like Tuchel has turned to his bench. Someone is coming on. Looks like a blonde player from far away. Is it Bowen, I wonder? Maybe Anthony Gordon. Inject a bit of pace. Kyle Walker does well. Foden. He's seemed a bit stuck out wide there, Foden. Comes inside now to Curtis Jones. First time out wide to Rashford. Goes for the big cross, Rashford, but doesn't get it over the first man. And here come Albania trying to get out. But Konsa was pressing high and Bellingham presses as well. And this is counter-pressing, which we haven't seen a lot from England. But the German managers love it, as does Big Ange Postecoglou. Okay, so coming on will be Bowen and Gordon. Oh, and in the big other game in the group, Latvia have just taken the lead away at Andorra. Huge. It's a 36-team World Cup, isn't it, for the first time? So it's pretty hard not to qualify. So Albania try and play a big one over the top of Konsa, who deals with it really well and is fouled. And then Burn helps him out, just swipes it up the pitch. Bellingham offside. So just Anthony Gordon getting some instructions from Tuchel there on the sidelines. Got to imagine there'll be Foden and Rashford coming off, but he hasn't quite made the changes as yet. Oh, Dan Burn slips there. Oh, and Albania in a good position there after Burn's first real mistake. Cross comes in, but Walker in a good position. England deal with it. Oh, and then Jones being very brave. Takes 4 players out of the game. But then England slowed it down, unfortunately. Peck 20 says, love Tuchel, a proper manager. Yeah, okay. Well, let's see what happens. But that, I guess, is where Dan Burn can maybe get himself into trouble, where he's a bit too tight and he was turned, and the heaviness of him just kind of slipped him over as Broja turned him. But Albania will be pretty happy with this because, as I said, when England scored, they'll just be hoping, in fact, it was before, even in the opening, I think I said it, they'll just be hoping to make it to the last kind of 10, 15 minutes. And then they'll try and attack England more. And that's what's happening at the moment. England just popping it about. Lewis Skelly into Kane. Tight area, so he lays it off to Rice. Into Foden. Thing is with Foden wide right, you know what he's going to do every time come now. Lewis Skelly now outside the box. He tries the cross. Oh, it's not bad one. And the keeper comes out, drops it with Bellingham near him. So England are able to keep it. Bellingham is in down the right now. Turns away, turns again. Flicks it back to Kyle Walker. To Foden. Goes inside to Jones. Bit of a dodgy ball to Rice. And Jones having a dig, why not? And the shot was blocked. Rice wins it back straight away. Good stuff. Gives it inside to Jones. It's good at taking the ball on the half turn, Curtis Jones, actually. Bellingham now wide right. Just swapping with Foden for a second. Foden just a little bit too close, but he gets the ball now. Gives it into Bellingham. They're just popping it about England now. Kane comes deep. Walker attempted to do a big diag. It's not your game, pal. And England just popping it about backwards, basically. Curtis Jones. Inside. Bit of space for Declan Rice. Pops it off to Rashford, who's very narrow right now to allow Lewis Skelly to be high and wide. Lots of players all in the centre of the pitch now. No space whatsoever, making for a bit of a boring few minutes. But good turn from Bellingham. Good stuff. Lays it. Oh, tried to lay it off, but Albania pick it off and now try and break forward. But here comes the counter press from England. Kane leading it on the fullback. And Albania have it back with centre half. 19 minutes to go. England 1, Albania 0. We try and play a ball over the top of Dan Burn. Oh, and it's flicked on well. They're in down the middle here, the number 9. Konsa, brilliant defending. So they played a ball over the top and Burn was beaten in the air. The flick on leads to the striker being through and Konsa had to turn on the afterburners. You'd have to say that is exactly what I've been talking about. Albania just staying in the game, only 1 goal behind, hoping for a little bit of magic like that. Matt Lift says, is it a bit shameless to have a foreign manager? I think it's natural because no clubs, certainly none of the big clubs, have English managers, apart from Newcastle, I guess. Oh, chance. Bellingham on the edge of the box. Shot blocked. Comes out to Kyle Walker. So until English managers are winning the Premier League, it's unlikely that they're going to get a job. I mean, maybe Howe would now get Curtis Jones, chips it over to Creeds Kane, who back flicked it towards goal and wins a corner. Kane. So the cross was put in and Kane's kind of facing the wrong way and the keeper nearly punches him in the head as Kane's trying to back flick it into the goal. But anyway, England win a corner. And are they going to make their subs now? Yes. So Gordon and Bowen on for Foden. And Rodgers, by the way. So Rodgers on for Jones. So a bit more pace now coming on for England. But will they have the same shape to get back in when Albania transition? That'll be interesting. Rodgers has impressed me, and he was on Tottenham's list for a long time. And I think it's one that we missed out on. Anyway, it's an England corner as well. But the Albanian keeper is on the floor, so there's going to be a bit of a time problem here. Patch Thomas says, I'm only involved at a grassroots level, but I'd like to help you guys. We'll meet in Bilbao. What do you help with what? What are you involved in a grassroots level at, mate? Yeah, very rare you're going to see Dan Burns beaten in the air, but Konsa was on his bike, turned on the afterburners, and helped him out round the back. Really good defending. The Albanian keeper is still on the ground. Let's see if anyone's saying anything on Twitter. Russ Williams, Spurs fan and broadcaster, says, just watching the game, why is it Phil Foden struggles in an England shirt? Genuinely bemused. Well, he's not had a great season, Phil Foden, but also I just feel like stuck out on the right. It was obvious kind of what he was doing each time. Anyway, finally, we're going to have the corner come in now. It's going to be an in-swinger. Rice is on it. Will it go to the back post for Dan Burn again for the 3rd time? No, he goes to the near post this time. But Bellingham goes around the back, gets the first header, but kind of heads it backwards. Comes to Lewis Skelly on the edge, and he goes backwards to Kyle Walker. It goes all the way back to Pickford. A lot of the prawn sandwich brigade, the corporate, still in the bars. They've not come out for the second half. Good ball from Pickford to Bellingham, wide right. Oh, Bellingham's done brilliantly, cuts inside. Then gets a great cross into the back post. What a player Bellingham is. Lewis Skelly heads it back to Bellingham, who keeps it under pressure beautifully. Skelly now driving narrow. Matt Lifts asking his own question in terms of, is it shameless to have a foreign manager? Bowen gets his first touch, by the way. Matt says it kind of is a bit. No foreign manager has ever won the World Cup. Most World Cup winning managers have not won the Premier League. Give it to an Englishman. No, but I'd say most foreign managers. Oh, Kane, big chance. Goal. Of course it's a goal. Of course Harry Kane's going to score. Great finish. The ball fell to him at the back stick after a cross came over, and he just got some freedom and slots it into the far right-hand corner. Let's see who it was with the cross. 70th goal for England. Amazing. So Walker had it on the right, plays it back to Rice, and it's a good little dink from Rice. And Kane is, he just uses his strength to bat off the centre-back. That's all he needs. And then the ball's slightly stuck under his feet, so he just goes early and bends it round the defender into the far post. Great goal. And England probably needed that. And yeah, Robert Kent says in the comments, very little backlift, beautiful finish. Completely agree. And now Albania are going to be, it'll be interesting to see whether they stick or twist here, whether they are more interested in not getting done by 4 if they kind of try and come at England, or whether they're just like, let's go for it. Great cross from Declan Rice, to be fair. Albania have made some quick changes, so it'll be interesting to see what they go for here. But this is I'd say, a satisfactory, pleasing start for Thomas Tuchel. The counter-pressing, I'd probably say, is what feels to me like the big change. And counter-pressing is, of course, a very German manager thing. But I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. Under Southgate, I don't remember us really counter-pressing at all. Not that hard anyway, but maybe I'm just kind of forgetting. And don't forget, as ITV are just telling me, England will be playing Latvia on Monday night as well, and I'll be back on Chris's channel for another watch along for that. Simply Football, loving the stats. Simply Football, thank you. Kane 70, Rooney 53, Charlton 49, and if I'm not mistaken, although you haven't written it here, Lineker 48. He had the opportunity, didn't he, to equal it with a penalty against Brazil at Wembley back in the day, and he tried the Rabona. No, not the Rabona, the Panenka, and fluffed it big time. Jordan Henderson is going to come on. They're just showing Lewis Skelly's goal. I saw an interview with Lewis Skelly's mum, who said that up until relatively recently, she kind of had no idea how good her son was. She's not into football. She just kind of drive him about and stuff. And then she just suddenly realized, oh, actually, he must be really good. And Simply Football agrees with me. Yes, Lineker, 48. That's right. Big Jordan Henderson of Ajax of Amsterdam. And the Albanian keeper is going to go off here. Pat, you're being very kind in the comments. I appreciate that. Thank you, mate. It's taking a lot of time because they're having to get the Now, I'm going to sound like a dinosaur here, but I don't mind. I do not understand how in the modern day substitutes, they don't have their kit ready. They're not ready. They don't have their shirts on. They don't have their boots on. I just don't understand it. Back in the day, you were like always ready. I don't know. Tell me. Maybe you guys are managers and you know better than I do, but never really understood it. So there'll probably be, I imagine, at least 5-6 minutes of added time at the end of this game because of these stoppages. So maybe England can get another couple of goals then. Robert Kent says, Lineker also scored in big games. Yeah, he certainly did. Scored the equaliser against West Germany in the World Cup semi-final 1990, Italia 90. From across from Paul Parker, ex-QPR Manchester United fullback. Lineker actually, if you listen to some of his podcasts, he gets a little, he never slags off Kane or anyone like that or any other strikers, but he does say, and he really sticks to this, how it's much easier to score goals in international football now because, he was playing before the breakup of the old Yugoslavia and Soviet Republic and stuff, Soviet Union. And therefore, there are more teams that you can just get easy goals against. But I would say there's probably some truth to that. Bellingham wins a free kick in a dangerous area. Well, not really that dangerous, but he does well in midfield. I'd say there's some truth for that with Lineker, but also I'd say the game is a lot harder in general now. Like back in the day, Lineker was playing against a lot of international teams who, were probably semi-pro and, didn't have sports science people and fitness and stuff like that. So I think there's, a bit of truth to it. Anyway, Gordon plays the free kick quickly to Bowen, who gets a good cross in. Bowen. It's well cleared, to be fair. Lewis Skelly trying to keep the ball. And Albania trying to get out down the left, but they can't. Declan Rice has just gone off. Who was it who came on for Rice there? I've missed that. Oh, for Henderson. Yeah. Laren Deb says taking Rice off is a wrong move. I don't think it'll matter, but we'll see. Tuchel's been pretty honest about why he picked Jordan Henderson. Basically, it's as a leader in the group. Maybe it's not the worst idea. Who knows? But, he wasn't naming a 23-man squad, and he'll have to for a major tournament. You can't carry people in major tournaments, and it seems unlikely Hendo is going to... I could be wrong, but it seems unlikely he's going to, after being in Saudi and being in Holland and not starting for Ajax, seems unlikely he's going to have a rebirth of his career to become a top level starter for an international team, but who knows? Carl Walker with the throw. 6 minutes of added time left. Hendo out to Walker, uses his strength well there, Walker, and Henderson tries to play a ball into Bowen's feet, but Bowen helps him out, and Henderson picks it up off him, and then Henderson drives backwards out to Lewis Skelly, who gives it back to Henderson. He always wants to get on the ball for him, to be fair, Henderson, but mostly just to pass it backward and sideways. Konsa. England just looking to pop it about to make holes now. Burn. Lewis Skelly tried to play a good little ball into a nice out-to-in run from Anthony Gordon there, but it was just ahead of him. But I enjoyed that. Patch asks, why does a leader have to be an older player? I don't know if it has to be. It's just more likely, realistically, in terms of as you work your way up the hierarchy of within your club or within your national team, that your confidence rises as you become more of a mainstay and get older than other players, and more younger players come in behind you. But it doesn't always have to be that way. Jude Bellingham is absolutely a leader of this team. You'd back Jude Bellingham probably to be the next England captain, actually, wouldn't you? First name of the team sheet. Definitely a leader. Likes to get in people's faces. He's like a kind of Michael Jordan, actually, Jude Bellingham. You can see he kind of likes to talk shit on the pitch and wind up other players and stuff. Oh. And that's Morgan Rogers. Just poor touch and gives away a foul in midfield. 85 minutes gone. England 2, Albania 0. Albania just playing it down their left. England counter-pressing, trying to nick it off them early. That makes Albania go backwards. And now Kane's got his goal. I'd be tempted to take him off here, to be honest. But he probably wouldn't want to go off because he's now out the other opportunities. As Albania tried to knock it around. Don't forget, after this game, I'll be doing a post-match reaction and then talking to you guys a bit more in the chat. So please do stay online and send in any questions you've got after the game. 1,800 of you watching concurrently. Thank you so much for your support. Please do press that like button wherever you are and subscribe to Chris Cowlin's channel if you haven't already, at Chris Cowlin, and my channel at Barnaby Slater _ on YouTube for daily Tottenham and transfer content. And Chris Cowlin is the Don of Tottenham Hotspur fan channels and England, of course. Follows England home and away around the world. Major tournaments, everything. England dink it into midfield. Bellingham just beautifully takes it on the half turn. Just popping it about now. Jordan Pickford has it. Oh, gives a bit of a dicky ball into Konsa, but first time does well to Henderson, to Walker, and England playing themselves out of trouble here. Bowen. Simply Football asks, do you expect a more entertaining game on Monday and a bigger scoreline? Is it away? No, I don't think it'll be more entertaining. I think it'll be the same kind of game. I was just trying to break them down. Oh, it's at home as well. Okay. Yeah, I think it'll be a similar game. I mean, they'll have slightly less quality than Albania. So maybe they'll make more mistakes. So maybe a few more goals, but it should be fine. Konsa back to Hendo. Hendo's loving getting touches on the ball. Bellingham close to him. Plays it between the lines nicely into Rodgers. Out wide to Bowen now. Comes back inside. Walker. Hendo. Bellingham. Hendo. Bellingham. Into Kane. Back to Hendo. Paul Jones. Does Chris work? I'm curious how he falls to travel everywhere watching Spurs in England. Jared Bowen just running down the right. Gets a cross in. And that's cleared by Albania. Well, I can't talk for Chris's life. I know that he does have, he owns his own company, I think, but also he's a big YouTuber. So, you know, when you're big on YouTube and you get, I think some stat I saw, I think he was like maybe the third highest viewing YouTuber last month for fan channels, with I think like certainly millions and millions of views. So you make money from ad spend from that stuff. So that's I'm sure basically every penny that Chris earns off YouTube he puts into his YouTube. You know, he's so committed. A really brilliant content creator. And I personally think Spurs should win a trophy to give him some joy for all the work that he puts in for Spurs. Patch asks, am I doing a watch along for the Latvia game? I am indeed. Ball in between the lines towards Bellingham there, but it's picked off. But England win it high. Oh, and then Rodgers is fouled. No, it's Konsa, sorry. Konsa's had a good game. Impressed with him. Burns been good, except for that one mistake. Lewis Skelly has been good. I'll do player ratings second half. And Lewis Skelly getting his big round of applause here, getting taken off. He's been good. Oh, and they've got a camera up on his family. It looks like that's his mum and his grandma. That's so cute. Ah, they're showing how his mum and his grandma celebrated when he scored. His mum looks about, genuinely, I think she's probably 15 years younger than me. It's so weird when that happens. 5 minutes added time. Reece James is the man who's come on for Skelly. And Gordon's made a good run down the right. Early crossing cleared. Paul asked, do you find clubs like Spurs appreciate club content creators such as yourself, Chris, and the boys at We Are Tottenham TV? No, as a rule, they don't. I think the only club that I know have done some stuff with fan influencers and content creators, Arsenal tried for a bit. I think Man United did maybe use one for a little bit, but in general, no, they don't. I don't think they appreciate the negativity that sometimes comes, especially Arsenal didn't during the heyday of Arsenal fan TV when they were so negative about them. Patch says there's something real about you and Chris. It's clear that you're decent people. Well, yeah, I hope so. Chris is certainly a good man. In terms of, I have to be honest. In terms of being Gordon's gone down injured. In terms of being a content creator, which is obviously a term that didn't even exist 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it is sometimes difficult because you'll see there are content creators who know that the wildest, or the more wild their takes and the more, crazy stuff that they say, the more clicks they're going to get, and therefore the more money they're going to earn. And honestly, it can be difficult, like especially at the moment, it's quite difficult being a Spurs YouTuber because not many people are wanting to watch your Spurs content because we're all quite down about how things are. We're going to be 16th in the league. And the reality is just more people search for your content when your team are doing well. And so it has been difficult at the moment, like you're not getting many views and whatever. And so you do look at some of these content creators who are just having these wild takes and saying the most crazy stuff and then get kind of, Jordan Pickford's just come out of his box all the way and then whacks it clear. Good goalkeeping from him. You do just kind of know that if I started saying the wildest shit about Spurs, it would wind up a lot of Tottenham fans, get them sharing it, get them commenting, and therefore make me more money. But I want to be authentic, and I want to be able to sleep at night. And I've literally had the conversation with my girlfriend a few times where I was like, if we end up having a baby, like, should I just start saying wild shit to make more money? She's like, no, you have to be able to be authentic and sleep at night. And I agree. And that's how it is. Paul asks, is the term content creator something you have on your passport? No, I don't think I've got it. I don't think I've got anything written on my passport. Is that a thing you still have to do? Don't think so. But I would say that in my bio on like Instagram stuff, I've got creator/comedian because I'm also a stand-up. So, yep. Okay, we've got just over a minute left. Albania trying to break forward. But thanks for the questions, guys. Keep them coming in because I will be trying to answer some more questions and bring you some quotes up from after the game, after the post-match reaction. Oh, Bellingham in down the left here. We've got about 1 minute 20 to do something. Bellingham is fronted up by about 3 players here, but he turns away, manages to keep the ball, plays it to don't know who that is who just came on. Patch asks, what made you get into stand-up? I started doing stand-up in 2007. And I did it till 2015. Then I had a big break and started again just over a year ago. I grew up, my stepdad was a comedy actor. So I grew up around comedy and comedians. I think that's probably why. My parents were both singers. So I think kind of performing was always likely to some degree. Rodgers through midfield. We've got 30 seconds to try and make something happen here. Reece James, that is, at number 3, of course. He plays it to Anthony Gordon. James goes outside him. And then Gordon plays a poor ball. And that, I assume, is going to be the end of the game. 2-0 win. Gordon looks like he's down injured. And the ref blows up. 2-0. Good victory. Hi, everyone. This is my instant match review to the England 2, Albania 0 game. As expected, a bit of a dry watch. They tend to be these World Cup qualifiers. You play against teams who turn up and they're well drilled, well coached. They're the best 11 players in their country. They know how to get 11 men behind the ball. And Albania did that. They had a good Euros, though, Albania. So it wasn't an easy game. And we had to work hard for it. Goals for Lewis Skelly and, of course, the inevitable goal from Harry Kane in the second half. And a good start to Thomas Tuchel's reign. I wouldn't say there were miles of differences between Tuchel and the old Gareth Southgate style. a bit different to the Lee Carsley kind of more get more young players on the pitch and do whatever you want style. But it looks like Tuchel has got some counter pressing into them. That's kind of what I'd say was the big change for me. Got them counter pressing, all working hard in a decent shape. I'll do some player ratings later on, but I'll just go through the kind of minute by minute report, of which there's not a great deal because it's international football, and you know, I'm a Spurs fan, so I'm used to these match reports being absolutely full of end-to-end basketball game type stuff, but it's a bit slower in international football. In the 4th minute, England had their first skirmish, a deep run from Bellingham, and a dink over the top nearly found it, but the defender did enough. It was all England possession, even in the first 10 minutes. Albania, 11 behind the ball, pretty well drilled. 10th minute, Bellingham beat a man, got into the box. He found Rashford, who should have crossed it in between the keeper and the back four, but tried to cut it back. Nobody was there. 12th minute, another promising attack. England won it back. Kane was deep and dropped a ball over the top to Rashford, but just run ahead of him. 16th minute, Kane was almost through, but the keeper dived at his feet. Then the first goal in the 19th minute, all made by Jude Bellingham. Cut above, really, the rest of the England team. I think Jude Bellingham, in terms of his ability on the ball, his calmness under pressure, him just wanting the ball all the time, turning away from trouble, taking it on the half turn. Absolute quality. You can see why he plays for Real Madrid. And he was just in midfield, kind of dropping his shoulder a couple of times, waiting for a gap to open up. And he saw a gap with Lewis Skelly making a run in behind the fullback on the right, on Albania's right. And just the weight of pass from Jude Bellingham was perfect. And all Lewis Skelly had to do was show a bit of strength against the defender. And then as the keeper rushed out, toe poked it underneath him. Great finish for the debutant, the youngest ever England international goal scorer on debut. So well done, Miles Lewis Skelly. Hard to say as a Spurs fan, but we've got another exciting left back in the mould of Ashley Cole there. 25th minute, Rashford nearly in behind from a ball over the top, but a poor touch on his chest, let it go through to the keeper. 26th minute, Albania hit the top of the bar, but it was from a Burn. Dan Burn deflected clearance, went up in the air, and Pickford should have probably just punched it out for a corner, but he didn't get high enough. And then Dan Burn just cleared it up with a header out for a corner after that. 33rd minute, beautiful stuff as Rashford drove at their right back, played a ball inside the back four, and Bellingham was through, toe poked it, but the keeper this time got some body on it and saved it. 34th minute, I made a note that I've been impressed by Dan Burn so far. Good passing between the lines, positive on the ball. 39th minute, Kyle Walker had his best moment of the match, reached the byline, cut it back to Bellingham, who made a late run into the box, 6 yards out, heads it down, keeper saves it well. Rebound falls for Harry Kane about 8 yards out, and you know the net's going to ripple, but he got a good strike on it, but somehow one of the Albania defenders manages to flick his shot over the bar. And from the resulting corner, Dan Burn got a good header, good neck muscles behind it, and it was kind of half saved, half crossbar. And Dan Burn really showing, especially in that first half, what a threat from set pieces he was. 48th minute into the second half now, and I've just made a note, say Ball was really attracted to Dan Burn in the box. He's playing really well. 58th minute, Rashford in down the left. Bellingham came to help him out, dinked across to Kane, who made a beautiful run across his fullback and headed it wide. You could argue maybe you'd expect Kane to score that one, but the fullback put pressure on him at the last minute, did just enough. 59th minute, great move on the transition from England. All started with Lewis Skelly reading a crossfield pass where Albania did have numbers forward, but Lewis Skelly picked it out really well, drove forward, and then it came to Harry Kane, who slipped in Curtis Jones on the right, and he very unselfishly tried to play a ball just inside him for a tap-in, but the Albania defender cut it out. 60th minute, Kane with an amazing cross from deep to Jones. In that second half, Kane just dropping off to get the ball deep more and more. And that crossfield ball to Jones, he again first timed it to Foden in the box, but unfortunately it came just behind Foden. He couldn't bring it down. 65th minute, just made a note that the game had opened up a bit by this time. Broja was nearly into the byline, but well defended by Konsa, who I was very impressed with today. And then in the 68th minute, Dan Burns really his only mistake. He got a little bit toe tight to Broja in midfield, and Broja was able to turn him, and at a panic, Dan Burn tries to turn at the same speed, and the weight just slips him over. And Albania could have got in there. Broja was in, and they had bodies forward, but his cross was easily picked out. And then in the 71st minute, brilliant defending by Konsa as Burn was beaten in the air, which you wouldn't expect to see. A flick on there through, but Konsa, Ledley King-esque, turned on the afterburners to get back and get rid of it. 73rd minute, we started bringing on substitutions. Gordon and Bowen and Rodgers on for Rashford, Foden and Jones. And then the second goal in the 76th minute. Harry Kane with a brilliant finish after a cross from Declan Rice. Really good. And Kane, what he did brilliantly, unbelievable number 9 play. his defender got too tight, so he just used his body strength, nudged him away, gave him a little bit of space, no backlift, the ball stuck a little bit underneath him, but he just uses the defender who's come in front of him to not allow the keeper to get any sight on it, and with the inside of his foot, bends it into the far corner. And then nothing really happened after that. Henderson came on for Rice in the 82nd minute. Hendo getting on the ball a lot, playing a lot of backwards and sideways passes. He's a bit of a mascot, really, I'd say. And then Reece James came on in added time for Lewis Skelly. In terms of team ratings, Jordan Pickford had nothing to do. Good distribution. Came out once in the last minute out of his box to kind of head it clear. I'll give him a 6.5 out of 10. Walker, who I didn't expect to really start or play again for England, but not a bad decision, I'd say, in that on the few occasions that Albania were able to transition, Walker's pace helped us get out of trouble, and he did reach the byline once. So I'll give Walker a 6.5 out of 10. Lewis Skelly got to give an 8 on debut. He's so young, got a goal. And I've said it during the watch along. I think we've got another kind of Ashley Cole level potential player there. He's young, though. He's been sent off a couple of times for Arsenal this season. So there will be, potholes in the road. It won't all be up and up. We'll have to be patient with him at times, but he looks like a real talent. Dan Burn, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. Was impressed with his ball play, playing balls in between the lines. Also his high line when we had the ball kind of 10 yards inside the Albanian half. That allowed us to keep replenishing possession over and over again. Konsa, I'm going to give 7.5. Very impressed with Konsa. And the only difference between him and Dan Burn was he didn't really make any mistakes as far as I'm concerned. Declan Rice, 6.5 out of 10. Did what he had to do, kind of shielding the back four. Foden, 6. Looked a little bit one-dimensional on the right. I think Albania were able to see what he was going to do and come narrow every single time, so he didn't really get in the game. Bellingham, star man, probably 8.5 out of 10, just a cut above. Rashford, 6.5 out of 10, and Kane gets a 7.5 for his goal. In terms of the players coming off the bench, James didn't really have any time to get involved. Henderson, 6.5. Rodgers, 6. Gordon, 6. Bowen, 6. And that is it, really. So, I think most importantly for Thomas Tuchel's first game, you've got to think about this. Tuchel is a manager who, as soon as he has any bad results, any draws in games he should win, he will not be given as much time as Southgate was or Carsley would have been, because he's German. And I hate to say it, and I know it sounds old-fashioned, but the reality is, I'm afraid, especially in this current political climate, a lot of England fans are just a little bit desperate at times to find a reason to complain. So it'll be a comfortable and a satisfying win for Tuchel. I'd expect the same with maybe a goal more or 2 more goals against Latvia on Monday. And I've seen enough, mainly in the counter-pressing, I'd say, to think, okay, he's adding something to this England team, this England squad, which is absolutely chock full of talent. And if he can get the best, this is going to be the key. Can he get the best out of Kane? Can he get the best out of Jude Bellingham? Can he get the best when Saka comes back, who's another brilliant player? And I like the pick of Dan Burn as well. It showed some balance. I think Mark Gahey will feel a bit probably unfairly treated because he did well in the Euros. But he wants a left footer on that left-sided centre-back, and you can see why. Similar reason why under And we want Mickey van der Ven playing there. It gives balance and it enables the ball to be passed quicker out to the wide man. And sometimes England are a little bit stodgy. So any opportunity we can have to get more tempo into the game, I'm all for it. And also Dan Burn, a proper old-fashioned threat from set pieces. And we saw that today as well. So that's been my instant match review to the England 2, Albania 0 game. Very satisfying. Classically kind of slightly dull at times World Cup qualifier, but 2 goals, a goal for Harry Kane, my man, is 70th for England, far and away the top scorer for England. He will be looking to get to 100 goals for England by the end of his career. There's no doubt about that, and he probably won't get far away from it. And a goal for Lewis Skelly on debut. So what's not to like? Well done. I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you press like on this and subscribe to the channel. Cheers. Okay, here we are, the fan show after the England 2, Albania 0 World Cup qualifying win. Satisfying game. Nothing kind of unexpected happened, I'd say. Harry Kane got his goal. Tuchel will be satisfied. Showed some counter pressing, good shape. I was impressed all in all. I'm going to go very early and talk to my man here, Harry Scarf, who was also watching the game. Harry, how are you, my man?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, I find international football, non-tournament international football, quite stale at times. But I saw enough there to think, okay, I think Tuchel's obviously getting a tune out of them as much as he can after probably, 5 training sessions, and a couple of nice goals in there. But what did you think of it all?
Yeah, no, exactly that. I think you summarised it quite nicely already. I think that it was one of those, and a little bit dull, but we dominated. Albania never really in the game. We're always going to win that game. We played at a nice tempo, in full control of that game, and it was a couple of pieces of individual brilliance. I think from Kane, and I think Lewis Skelly for that first goal. I think does exceptionally well. Bellingham, you mentioned earlier, I thought was pulling the strings in that midfield. So it's really good to see. As you said earlier, his England team is full of talent. But we know that Tuchel won't get that time. That's why he's only been given the 18-month contract. It feels strange to see senior players kind of called up. It feels like an England team of the past. But if you think about it, it does make sense. He's only here purely to win now. It's like linking it with Spurs, Barnaby, with Conte and Mourinho coming in. It's just that for that instant success, that's why it's been done, which is absolutely fine. So these games will really help Tuchel to get an understanding of his squad, who's best. I thought there were individuals that done really well tonight. So overall, a comfortable performance. Yes, a little bit dull, but you don't mind when we're getting the results.
Have you seen enough from Thomas Tuchel's kind of management career as a whole to think that he has what I talked about kind of earlier during the watch along was almost like, I think what the FA are hoping is that he'll have the kind of added magic tactical stardust and winner's mentality to take us over the line. Do you think you've seen enough in his management career to think, for instance, as an example, if England find themselves in a big game as they did in the Euros final against Spain, and they equalise, and the game is there for the taking, and they need to get on the front foot, is Tuchel the man to persuade those players in the moment that they have to be brave when previously it has been their instinct to drop further and further back?
Yeah, definitely faults of the past, but I think he is, to be honest with you. I think if you look at his managerial career, obviously Champions League winner with Chelsea, that was a big game up against Man City, and they delivered. And just different times in the Premier League in those bigger games, whether it be the Etihad. I think they're the only team that one season the City absolutely dominated in the league and all over competitions, but in particular in the league, they went there and had more possession than them. So, they're not afraid, Tuchel isn't, to stamp his authority, to express his way of playing the players. I think if you listen to them in the media, they're very clear, look, this is what Tuchel wants. So I think he's got in a standard high. Obviously had that, I think, a little bit of a dig, didn't he, at Southgate, about how England he previously played in the last competition, worrying about losing. I have already seen enough of this game, but also in his managerial career to know why the FA are doing this. It does make sense. I think he's he's a big game manager, if you like, I suppose, like you get with big game players. It didn't quite work for him. Maybe you look at PSG in terms of the Champions League. Some people say when it comes to that big occasion, or it didn't quite come together. But for Chelsea anyway, I think he was excellent, and I find it strange to see why they got rid of him. I think a lot of Chelsea fans still do feel that way and would take it back. So I do have confidence that he can get us over the line finally. But, it's going to take time. There's going to be bumps in the road. We know that. I think we've got to accept that. It's not going to all gel together nicely. But I think in the end, he's the right manager to get the job done.
I think one thing just made me think, were you mentioning about his time at PSG? One thing that I think will really suit him and be more like Chelsea rather than PSG for England is that England have a lot of talent, but not really massive egos in the same way that some of those PSG players had that he had to deal with. And and I think that'll work for him. I'd say probably the biggest ego is probably Bellingham, but you'd say Bellingham, you never see Bellingham not working hard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I'd say he's a lot more manageable. When you're having the likes of Neymar, no disrespect, to have to deal with it. It was a lot. It was a lot for Tuchel. Even that, I still thought he done okay. And obviously, Pochettino, PSG as well, did do that much better. So you had good managers there. I think it was just a difficult situation with PSG, such high standards. But Tuchel's had a really good managerial career. He's a very bold manager. And I think that he's right for this set of players. I think he's right for the fans. And I just think that, in the end, that we'll get there. So yeah, and tonight was good. It's not perfect. Okay, we don't blow Albania away, but we just total control of the game, and that's what's important. You mentioned like that Spain game, last time out in the major competition, or just different games under Southgate where you thought that we'd either got the job done or we're going to get the job done, and we didn't. That lapse in concentration, game's not done. Whereas I know it's only Albania, but I looked tonight, full control of the game. Never did I think, Albania are getting something from it. And that's what Tuchel brings you, and that's what a top manager brings you, that full dominance, that full control. And you just felt like they were always going to get the job done.
Yeah, and I felt like even if, from one of those breakaways or something like that Dan Burn slip, even if they had scored, I felt like England had another couple of gears. Jack Pittbrook from The Athletic, who's also on the View from the Lane podcast, which if you don't listen, if you're a Spurs fan, you don't listen, make sure you do. He wrote, for all the pre-game talk, that England win felt a lot like the Gareth Southgate era, professional and efficient rather than dazzling. Still not a bad start to the Thomas Tuchel era. I mean, what I'd say about that is, I agree, but also I really don't think there are many international games that are dazzling. I really don't. I think because you're playing the best of each team's country, and they're all pretty well coached and well drilled these days. It's very rare that you blow anybody away. So nothing unexpected.
No, absolutely. And, players are absolutely knackered. They put a lot into it. I mean, we haven't had an international break for a while. And we've had definitely players in the past not take it seriously. We saw with Southgate, a lot of players taking liberties, I think, pulling out. And as you said as well, tactically, it's really tense, and for teams like Albania it means a lot. They would have built up to this game, playing England at Wembley. It's never going to be easy, and it did feel a little bit, I suppose, tonight like Southgate was the manager, but it doesn't matter. We got the job done, we got the win. As I said, it was comfortable, never in doubt, and we move on to the next one. It's the win that matters. And I think as fans, we're very with club football and international football, very guilty, I think, of getting caught up in the performance, but it's a scoreline that will be remembered. Not so much in these type of games, but it's a scoreline that will be remembered, years to come. So, and we got the result. That's all that matters. We put ourselves in a nice position, and the players have gained confidence, I think, from this. And every game that goes by, I think, just helps Tuchel get an understanding of his players, the players to understand the system. So I think this has really helped, giving him this time period before the World Cup.
Yeah, exactly. And as we said at the beginning of this conversation, really, I wouldn't be surprised if Tuchel had gone in. You know how all managers have to go in with a deck now when they go into pitch for their job. It wouldn't surprise me if he just went in and said, well, look, you've reached a semi-final, a quarter-final where you went out, you lost to France, and 2 finals in the last period. What you need is kind of similar to what you've been doing, but just with a little bit of, like I said at the start, the tactical changes, the ability to remind the players to be forward thinking in the times where the pressure is on the most. And where I think Tuchel will be able to add that in is almost like by being able to look at them in the eye and say, trust me, I've won the Champions League. I've won, the German League. I've won this.
I've been there and done it.
I've been there and done it. Whereas maybe under Gareth Southgate, and by the way, I personally think that Gareth Southgate, the longer that he's not the England manager, will be appreciated more for what he did as England manager. But that's where maybe the players didn't really fully believe in that. I just want to ask one question, Harry. And I don't necessarily know if I have an answer to this, but when you look at the teams who do win these major trophies, so Spain with the likes of Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal, or whatever his name is, and France with Mbappe and Argentina with Messi, they always seem to have kind of one, what I would describe as a proper kind of can pull something out of nothing player. Bellingham, I guess, is close to that, but he's still quite, like I said, he's not like a big kind of big man, big ego player, kind of almost Paul Gascoigne. Although obviously he did score that overhead kick in the Euro, so maybe I'm contradicting myself. But do we have that kind of player? Is Bellingham that kind of player, or do we have more like so many players who are, just one level under that will get through it anyway?
We do, yeah. It's just a lot of players under that, but it's combined, which I think is probably as good. You want those goals distributed, the effort and contribution distributed. But I do think we have that one player, and I think it's Harry Kane, if I'm honest with you, that can produce anything in difficult moments. I thought, and I know he's getting on, but look at him tonight. I thought it was exceptional. All-round game was just superb, and that second goal just summed it up. And his evening and his shift that he put in, it was just his all-round play was fantastic. There was one moment in particular, I think it was what a ball from the halfway line. It might have even been inside his own half through to Marcus Rashford, better touch, and that's a goal. So Kane was, really showed his class and just what he's capable of. A player I think that we really miss at Tottenham, Barnaby. I'd love to have him back personally. But yeah, I know what you mean in terms of like we've got a lot of players like Foden, Grealish, and all these other players that they're all good players, but they're not Mbappe's, are they? They're not Messi, Jamals, Williams, all the players that you mentioned there. So that could be an issue. Yes, we haven't got anyone you go, oh my god, watch out for their pace or watch out for their trickery. Bellingham's good, but I still think there's a little bit of a question mark around consistency with him. I think there has been for Real Madrid at times this year as well. But obviously, we know that when he is at his best, he's very good, and he does put a lot into his performances. There's no doubt about that. He's a hard worker. I have no worries with him about attitude. But Kane's the one where I think he can dig him, us out in any difficult situation. But it's those big games as well. You say, does he turn up in the big games? But there are a lot of players, aren't they? Even if we link it back to the Premier League, Salah with Liverpool, it just doesn't get the media attention.
I've never understood that Harry Kane big games thing. He's the highest scorer in the history of North London derbies. Like literally, like over Thierry Henry, over everyone. Like there is no bigger club game. I'm sorry. No. I mean, I'm biased. But this is Chris Cowling's channel, so it's a Tottenham channel. But I don't get that. But one thing I wanted to ask you though, because obviously I didn't know you during the Euros, but at the time during the Euros, were you saying what I was saying, which is like I think Harry Kane's injured. Like he had to be injured, and I was saying a lot of the time. I think he's probably taking painkilling injections because he was like 30% off his game.
Yeah, I was 100% saying that, and I was actually one of the fans saying that don't play him. He doesn't look right, and I love Kane, but when Kane's not at it, as is every player, we're better to get play someone else, give Kane a rest. There's no point in I think making him worse. So, yeah, he didn't look right at all. So yeah, I was totally with you on that one, and it just felt like painful to watch him. And I'm like, give someone else a go, Watkins or whoever it may be in that position, because it's just not working for Kane. So that was a concern all tournament.
Yeah, Harry, where are you at with this Jordan Henderson pick from Thomas Tuchel? Obviously, his kind of most controversial first decision. He's been quite honest about it. Been brought in as kind of a leader for the group, and some of the other players have said they think it's a great decision. Obviously, it's easy now when he's able to pick a 28 or 30 man squad. But do you think, assuming we get to the World Cup, and I'm sure we will, do you think he's likely to make it into a 23 man squad?
Not for me, but I'd be open to whatever happens, because again, linking it with Spurs, one thing I think that we've really lacked is that leadership, that knowledge, that player who's been been here and done that. And I think England do need that young players, and I think it could be really positive and uplifting. But if we're talking about ability on the pitch, Henderson's not a player you would be, I don't think, no disrespect, taken to this major competition at this stage. And there's a few picks. It feels like an England team of the past. Even Rashford, I'm very happy for him. Don't get him wrong, and he's done well at Villa since he's joined. But I did expect him to get that call up, nor did I expect him to start tonight. Kyle Walker as well. So I feel like we are maybe clutching onto straws with older players. But if it brings in experience and the right character for the dressing room, I'm all for it. That's all that matters. Tuchel will know that. But it's a pick that surprised me a little bit, if I'm honest with you. But I'm for whatever Tuchel decides to go with, because I'm going to trust his instinct, trust his judgment. He will know what type of character is needed in that dressing room in big games.
Yeah, so I wasn't able to hear the Tuchel post-match interview, but I'm just kind of scrolling through X, and a lot of people saying that he was incredibly honest and said that he wants more from his England team. Let me just try and find some of the things that someone's saying there. Basically saying that he wants to win well as well, saying the team can do better. He wanted faster passing, more movement, more dribbles, less little passes. And you have to say that after a win like that, we probably all would be pretty comfortable and satisfied usually, and but also kind of probably in the pubs afterwards we'd be saying, yeah, but it could be more exciting. It sounds like he wants more of that as well, which is quite forward thinking. I like that.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what you want to hear from a manager, and I think we have a lot to look forward to under Tuchel. I think again it's all about that patience game, and he won't be given long, but he's not going to come in instant impact. But hopefully we can put ourselves in a really strong position in the World Cup.
And obviously, I can see you shaking in your boots at the big Latvia game for Monday night, Harry. But do you think he'll make any changes for that? Or do you think he'll just try and get his first 11, get more tempo into their legs and understand each other more?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be the same team, because I think he'll want to be open and try things. But at the same time, I don't think we will see wholesale changes. I think we might see just a couple, maybe Rashford come out the side, maybe a change at right back, etc. Just a couple of changes like that. I might see Rodgers from the start. A player I'd really like to see is Morgan Gibbs-White. I don't think we will. This is the last-minute call-up, wasn't he, with Palmer being out, which is a shame, but a player that could be really interesting to see. I want to see that midfield three of Rice, Rodgers and Bellingham. That's something I think that would be really good to see. Rodgers had a really good season. So, no, we'll have to see. I think that there won't be massive changes, but either way, Latvia is one of those games like tonight where you go, not being funny, but we're probably going to win either way. And let's just see what happens in terms of the team. I don't think it makes a massive catastrophic difference.
Yeah.
But it'd be good for some of those players who want to rest at the same time. They want to impress Tuchel, but they want to rest coming back to club football. Because it's easy for us to say, isn't it? Oh my God, they've got these 2 weeks off. I'm guilty of it myself. And I think, hang on a minute, they're playing once or twice for their national team as well. So there'll be a lot of players like Kane that put a lot into their season with Bayern that'll be like, I wouldn't mind. Well, I'm sure he wants to be on the pitch. Don't get me wrong, but I think if he looked at the bigger picture, he wouldn't mind having a little bit of a rest.
I don't know. I think he'll be thinking of it as a possibility to score 5 and get up to 75 goals.
Gordon, I think we might see against Latvia. He's a player I think will come in.
Well, I was going to ask, what did you think of Rashford and Foden today?
Yeah, Foden I thought was quite quiet. I agreed with your summary before I come on. Not really effective, but that's kind of been his story of the season, isn't it? Really, and a player that, again, if you really are basing it on form, should he have been picked? I don't quite know. Rashford, I thought was bright, to be honest with you. I think he had a good involvement at times. Nearly got an assist, didn't he? Yeah. But again, is overall it's hard to judge off one game. But there was times where I thought, okay, these our wingers aren't offering enough, but the pace was there. I think Rashford had the better game out of the two. I think Bowen come on, who did look good. Shame he's West Ham. That's the only thing. But he's a class player, Bowen. And if we're being honest, I think he should be in that side over Foden. Palmer not a great form at the moment. Obviously, when he comes back from injury, I'm thinking more long term. If we head towards the World Cup, that's a really, really strong option that you want there. Gordon, a great season with Newcastle. So there are options there. We've said it so many times. There's a quality there, but it's about finding the right 11, a team that works well with each other. And it's a tough job. It's what Tuchel will be paid for. It's a nice problem to have as a manager. One that we haven't experienced, I don't think, a lot with Spurs this year. There's plenty of options at his disposal. But yeah, there'll be 2 or 3 changes, I think, for Latvia that won't really affect the team. It's about keeping the rhythm the same. Seeing this, like, as you said there, he spoke about, I haven't seen it, but he's post-match interview about wanting more. He'd want to see more from these set of players, but also by introducing the couple. So he'd be careful, I think, of the way he does it.
I think Foden and Palmer, to some degree, are going to probably really suffer maybe throughout their England careers, just from the fact that they would, most other teams be playing where Bellingham plays, and that's going to be problematic for them. And it's going to be yet another case of, are we going to try and fit square pegs into round holes, or are we going to actually play proper wide men? And like you said, that'll be Tuchel's big decision.
Yeah, it's a massive decision, and it's really hard. I didn't know if he'd go with the back 3 or back 4 tonight. Obviously, he's favoured a 3, isn't he, at times in his career, like at Chelsea. Went with the 4. I think it was the right decision. And I think Konsa really impressed me tonight. I think there was a conversation, whether it be him or Mark Gahey. Dan Burn obviously has had an excellent week. Very happy for him. I think he deserves that more than anyone. But Konsa coming to the side, I just think every time you mentioned there about the very rare Albanian counter-attack, then Konsa was there to sweep it up. So that's real credit to him at a time where maybe Burn looked a bit shaky at the start, Pickford looked a bit shaky at the start, and Konsa eased those nerves. I don't like him again, but I thought Declan Rice was good, offered the right protection to that back line. So there's a lot of options there, and if he wanted to go to the back 3, he's got Cowell as well as an option. So yeah, he's got those options. Skelly, I thought, done well, to be fair to him. At left back, even Walker at right back. So overall, those England players can hold their head high, but of course there's a lot more to give. We know better opposition, it's a different outcome because we're still open at times tonight. But yeah, there's some really hard decisions. And I mean, you mentioned there with Bellingham in midfield, he's always going to start, and that obviously already limits your options in midfield. But there are a lot of midfielders that be rubbing their hands together, licking their lips and go, look, there's an opportunity there for us. But it's hard. Out of anywhere in that team, it's going to be hardest to get into that midfield.
I'd really like to see us have a proper run at the Nations League as well. I know people kind of think it's a nothing tournament, but actually, whenever you've seen those teams kind of win it and get to the final, obviously Ronaldo won it with Portugal, I think actually just let's just try and win something. But anyway, listen, Harry, thanks so much for staying up late and being patient enough to wait and get on the call with me. Really appreciate it, mate. Let the audience know where they can find your stuff and your content.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Barnaby. Once again, really do appreciate it. Always great to talk to you. Thank you to everyone in the chat. You can follow me at HarryScarf22 across all socials. I'm a football content creator and YouTuber. I also do have my own YouTube channel with myself and podcast, Scarfy Spurs Talk. So if you don't mind checking that out, YouTube and all podcast platforms. But I'm also a regular here at Chris Cowling's channel, which is great. And it's always great to talk to you, Barnaby. So thank you very much for this.
Top man, have a good weekend. It's enjoyable to
And
see
you, all the best.
one of our teams win for once.
Absolutely, yeah. We enjoy it where it lasts.
Top man. See you later, mate. Cheers. Bye-bye.
All the best. Cheers.
Bye. Okay, so and that's Scarf, Harry Scarf 22, Scarf SCARFE. So make sure you go and find Harry. He's a really exciting young content creator, Tottenham fan, and as you can tell from having heard him there, really knows his stuff. So let's just go through some of the comments you guys have been sending in. Just in the other game, Simply Football says it was Andorra 0, Latvia 1. So Latvia setting up for the big England game on Monday with a 1-0 win over Andorra. Miles Lewis Skelly said, I'm so happy. It was a great pass for the goal from Jude Bellingham. I'm lost for words. And as I said earlier, ITV cut to some footage of his mum and his grandma. I assume it's his grandma and his mum in the crowd. It was so sweet and just slightly upsetting for me to see that his mum, the mother of a England international goal scorer, who looked, I think, at least 20 years younger than me, and probably is 20 years younger than me. TSIM in the comments says, watching England, it's evident that there is more sharpness and intensity than watching Spurs play. You can see why none of our lads played. Yeah, chalk and cheese, but, you know, that's the way it's going to be. Declan Rice said, and Simply Football... in the comments, thank you for posting this, says that Skelly does everything right. I knew he'd play like that tonight. This is only the start for him. TSOM says Rice gave the ball away a few times. Simple passes weren't great. Rice went on to say, we need to keep working to win. The boss's first game is a positive, an all-round positive night. And TSOM says, all round it was entertaining and enjoyable. They played well enough. And Chris Cowlin, the Don, just posting some stats in the comments as well. Thomas Tuchel's first game as England manager, 812 passes completed, 6 shots on target, 4 chances created, 2 goals, none conceded. Perfect start. Tuchel said in his post-match on Lewis Skelly, he was amazing in camp. He's full of confidence and very full of humour. Such an open and mature character. Everything you see on the pitch, you see off the pitch too. He also said a great performance, full of courage and quality. Tuchel went on to say, I think both of our wingers who started were not as impactful as they can be in club football. I'm not sure why it took us so long to get the ball to them. And then went on to say, a bit too much passing, not enough driving the ball, not aggressive enough. So that's what I was talking about with Harry Scarf there. Tuchel is just going to say it as it is and basically challenge the players endlessly to bring the England national team's play up to the standards that he expects. And maybe under Southgate, more realistically, Southgate would have said in a post-match there, you know, I thought it did really well and everything really positive. But Tuchel is going to challenge them. And that is what the top managers do. It'll be interesting to see how that goes down with some of those players after a difficult result. But that's what Tuchel's going to be paid for. That is his job. And in reality, you know, he's going to be faced with a more difficult games than what he encountered there. But a good start. And that is for sure. I'm just kind of searching X to see if I can get any more quotes for you because I've gone through all of the comments now, but really enjoyed doing the watch along, guys. Henry Winter says, if Tuchel thought England were bad at Euro 2024, somebody should slip him the video nasty of England at Euro 2016. Tuchel's a great appointment, a more elite, decisive, tactically savvy coach than Southgate, but he inherits an improved culture and dressing room thanks to Southgate. So that's good. Just seeing some other stuff there. All right, guys. I think, look, that's been a really enjoyable watch along. I will be back with another watch along on Monday for the Latvia game. If you want to get involved in the watch along for the Latvia game, please do email tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. That's tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. We're really keen to get as many people from all around the world talking to me after these watch alongs. So whether you're a Spurs fan, as this is usually just a Spurs fan channel, or an England fan, because Chris also covers all the England games, make sure you email tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com so I can talk to you after the Latvia game, which will be Monday night. Hopefully we can put 4 or 5 past Latvia, maybe another couple of goals for Sir Harry of Kane. But But overall, I'd say a good start for Thomas Tuchel's reign. Nothing too stressful. And as Tuchel has said himself, something to improve upon. But enjoy your weekend, guys, and I'll see you on Monday. Cheers. Goodbye.